Good morning, and we've got day two of the draft here. We are already a half hour into it, and the pace, as always, is much quicker than it is on day one. So, we are going to be talking about all the picks. We have some catching up to do here, as we already have about 10 or so picks that have been made here in the second round. A lot of really good selections in my eyes here so far. But for those of you who joined on yesterday's live stream as well, whether it's here or when I hopped over to join Briser la Glace, colleague and friend as well of the show, Simon, who runs that podcast, did the entire thing in French. Got some practice in, hung out for 2 hours, which was a bunch of fun. But yeah, here on today's show, we're looking at the draft. So let's just dive straight into it. The Vancouver Canucks picked up the faller, the guy that shouldn't have been available and was in Brooks Rogowski. I think that was a great selection at 33 there for the Canucks. Big, rangy, pretty special overall profile with massive size, really deft skater, good puck handler and pass with the puck. That is Brooks Rogowski going to the Vancouver Canucks, who I was convinced was going top 20 on draft day. So really nice value. The Chicago Blackhawks took my favorite player that still survived to day two on the board, Xavier Villeneuve, with that 34th overall pick. Incredibly dynamic offensive defenseman. Undersized, certainly, but a great skater, a hard worker. He's got some holes in his game defensively, especially because he's off to Boston University, who did wonderful work developing both Hudson brothers, well, the defensive Hudson brothers, especially. And I think he's a great fit in Chicago. He's a profile that they lack and that they get. So Villeneuve to Chicago, love that pick. And then they keep swinging on upside, and that is Ryan Rubrick, a player that came into the draft with some top 5 hype to him. He's a guy that has a booming shot, but where the engagement, the effort level, how hard he's skating was really the big question looming over him all season long. So I like these swings for Chicago. They need that big boom, that big upside, and they're going hard for that with both of these early second round selections. Calgary picking up Chase Harrington, not a player I watched an overly tremendous amount. I'll get back to him later. Same with Matthias Vananen. Who I did watch a lot is Casey Mutrin going to the Seattle Kraken. They're at 38th overall. Big, heavy, power forward, elite at dragging the puck from the boards to the middle of the ice. So Casey Mutrin is a player that I have so much time for. I think he's a hard-working power forward with some playmaking skill to boot, and that's a profile that you could always use more of on your team, and he's a really nice fit. I'll just grab the draft board here, put it on screen so you guys can follow along as I will be probably lagging behind certain picks for decent chunks of the show because there's a lot going on. Just trying to find the right layout. Let's go with this. Okay, so yeah, Casey Mutrin to Seattle. Love that pick for the Kraken. Marcus Ruck, shockingly, goes 39th overall to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who picked up his twin brother, Liam Ruck, with their first round selection. The Ruck twins stay together. That is how this draft should have gone. So good NHL. You did something decently for once, keeping the twins together. This was important. Seamus Ignatavicius going to Florida is a very, very Florida pick. Probably the most NHL-ready player to fall outside the first round. He's powerful. He's mean. He can play the net front, played against pro competition in a very good league this season in the Swiss National League with Geneva. He's a player that I think is heavy and mean. That's the Florida Panthers, and he could be a player for them within 2-3 years. He's a as another Atlantic Division fan here for the Montreal Canadiens. Don't love that pick because that just keeps their identity rolling. Then at 41, love this pick for the Vancouver Canucks. Nicholas Aram-Olsson is the guy, one of the athletes available here in the second round. He's a quick skater, really wicked shot off the rush. That blend of speed and goal scoring ability was one of the top, I guess, pairs of offensive tools for me left on the board here in the second round. A lot of I think fellow scouts also see him as a potential middle six complementary winger, but a guy that brings some areas of need for the Vancouver Canucks in terms of speed and goal scoring. The Calgary Flames went for the first goaltender selected, and to me, it is the best goaltender in the draft class, Tobias Treball from the Youngstown Phantoms in the USHL. He is such a composed and poised netminder, this guy. His team played miles better with him in net than when any backup or other goaltender was playing. He's a player that just has a winning mentality, I think. Has certainly some puck tracking that could still improve a little bit, but overall, I like this profile a lot for a goaltender. I think he has real starting caliber potential. And for the Calgary Flames, you can certainly use another young goaltender in the pipeline. So big fan of this. And then at 43, the Colorado Avalanche go for upside because, of course, they do. And it's Igor Shilov, the Russian center from Victoriaville in the QMJHL. Here's a player with clear, not just first round skill, but top 10, top 15, top 20 skill is Igor Shilov, falling to 43 with the Colorado Avalanche. He's a incredibly intelligent offensive creator, a very, very capable playmaker, creative playmaker, skilled playmaker, has a good shot as well. The question here is pace. He plays at a low speed, doesn't keep his feet moving, wants to operate at a glide, tries to always slow the play down rather than ramp up the pace. That's going to have to change. However, if he's able to adapt, you get a real dangerous top 6 center out of this player. So there's real boom potential here, I think, for the Avs and Yegor Shilov. And in the coming picks, we've got the Devils, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Kings, as well as the Detroit Red Wings and Florida Panthers have another very good second round selection here as the draft keeps on moving. I'll be keeping an eye on potential trades as well. Please do leave comments with your thoughts, what you're hoping to see overall here on day 2 of the draft, what you're excited for. And I think we might have a Nikita Sherbakov pick here to the New Jersey Devils, and we do indeed. Yeah, this is great value, I think, on day 2 of the draft. Big, mobile Russian defenseman is Nikita Sherbakov, 6'5", 187 pounds, skates well, kills plays, doesn't overcomplicate things with the puck on a stick. You know what you're getting here. It's not a dynamic play creator, not an elite puck move by any stretch of the imagination, but a capable one. In Nikita Sherbakov, you're getting a 6'5", number 4, number 5 defenseman who has a very high likelihood of hitting that upside and is probably only a few years out, probably a bit quicker of a project compared to the other players available in this range of the draft. And holy, I like this pick. Some of you might not know who this player is, and I would forgive you because he's not been on all that high on many radars this season. It's Jaden Kurtz from who played Minnesota high school hockey with Rogers High this season, also played in the USHL with the Chicago Steel. This is a big puck-moving defenseman, 6'3", 190 pounds, mostly predicted to go 3rd, 4th round on draft day, a player that certainly has some really fun tools, but I know that people weren't perhaps, or maybe didn't watch him all that much or weren't fully convinced, but I love this pick for the Anaheim Ducks. Jaden Kurtz changed the complexion of the Chicago Steel blue line when he arrived on that team this season. Before him, they were mismanaged on the back end. They were confused in terms of triggers for breakout passes and whatnot. As soon as he arrived with a high degree of poise and intelligence with the puck on his stick that makes him a very strong breakout passer, he really, really, really elevated that blue line. I love this selection for the Anaheim Ducks. I think that there's some number 5 puck moving upside, maybe number 4 if you're really lucky and you hit on this prospect. But here's a player that I thought I could get as a value add more like in the late 2nd, early 3rd round maybe. But no, he goes in the first half of the 2nd round. I like that a lot. Liam Lefebvre is the next player here off the board, going to the Los Angeles Kings, and certainly fits the LA Kings preference of style of player. And here I was expecting the Kings to go for their big burly forward in the 1st round with a guy like Ilya Morozov, but instead they're keeping that for the 2nd round with Liam Lefebvre. Here's a 6'3", 203-pound right shot center who played with Rimouski in the QMJHL, as well as Chicoutimi. Split the season between those two teams. This season was roughly a point a game and up to the ante once he got traded to Chicoutimi, where he had 17 goals and 30 points in 25 games. This is a hard-working player, a guy who's heavy, a player that really stepped up his game in the playoffs as well, being tough to play against, and was just intensely physical and constantly engaged. And that's the style of profile that I think the Kings certainly want more of in their system, and that's why he is the next player off the board here. And we have some interesting players still available. Let me pull up some rankings to see who is falling, but if you're looking for high skill value add, I was gonna say Victor Plant, and here he goes to the Detroit Red Wings with his brother Max, both having been second-round picks at 47th overall. What a beautiful story that is. The Plant brothers are reunited, and Victor Plant has a lot of Max Plant in him in terms of style. Two very pacey, very intense wingers, highly intelligent, strong playmakers, guys that are small, sure, but drive the middle, are intense, are engaged, are tough to play against, initiate contact. I love this pick for Detroit. I think Plant was one of the higher upside bets left on the board here in the mid-second round, and Detroit already has both his player comp and older brother, so I adore this fit. I think this is the exact range that he should be going in. I think it's good value in this range even. I think he has some second-line upside if he really hits, and you don't have all that many players with that type of potential left on the board here on day 2 of the draft, but I'll pass the question on to you all. Who are you expecting to go here in the next few picks? We've got the Florida Panthers up next, so I'm guessing a big, burly, mean player might be the guy here. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking. This is always fun. Like day 2 is Christmas for me rather than day 1 of the draft. This is where things move faster. You see kind of like your favorite little players get picked up late in later rounds as well. Something that is always certainly fun to follow. And yeah, here as we check back in with the second round, yeah, Florida, LA, Anaheim again. 3 teams that have just picked. I mean, LA and Anaheim literally just picked. Florida was a bit earlier at 40th with Simas Ignatavicius. But yeah, this is interesting so far with the draft, and I'm certainly enjoying this day 2 so far. But yeah, we'll see who the next players are here. Let me pull up the Elite Prospect Draft board. Just so I can follow along. Like, who is falling? There still are some interesting players available. We've got, I mean, Victor Plant was the guy I was going to mention. I mean, if you want to go for a D+1, this is starting to be Ethan McKenzie range, Georgios Pantelis. If you want some right Ds, both Timofey Runso and Samuel Alalari are still available. Do I see Ryder Cali as the pick? Oh my God, that is so Florida. I should have known that. I should have guessed that immediately. While a faller, a guy that should have gone earlier, in my opinion, Ryder Cali is arguably the most violent player left on the board. So of course the Florida Panthers pick him. 6'2", 214-pound forward, can play center, can play wing. Here's a player that is just so direct, very, very violent, very physically engaged, hard to play against. Just your pain in the ass kind of bottom 6 projection, and might play that role in 3 years time, which I think for a back half of the second round now pick is a very quick timeline as well. If you're thinking of potential development curves, Ryder Cali, I saw first round value in this player, as did a lot of my colleagues at Elite Prospects. So great value. Florida getting 2 power forwards, or at least powerful forwards, with these 2 second-round picks, both of which probably should have gone in the first round. So there you go. That's Florida doing Florida things. The LA Kings are up next here, and Anaheim. In terms of the Kings, They went center again here with the recent pick of Liam Lefebvre, big physical and engaged center, but now they're going defense with Adam Golyer out of Slovakia. Another player here that was not my main focus this season in my scouting, but a player I did catch once or twice. Let me just look up his production this season. Yeah, he's an interesting piece. I watched him. I think it was in February, the last game I caught. But he's young for the draft class as a 6'2", 194-pound right D, June birthday. Stayed in Slovakia this season, but played pro hockey all year long with HK Dukla Trencin, where in 43 games he had 4 goals and 11 points. That is overall a decent return playing pro hockey. He was the 95th ranked player on the elite prospects board, saying he's an active blue liner who joins Russians, quarterbacks a power play, and moves the puck deceptively. Somewhat unclear NHL identity kept him from being ranked higher. So this is a type of guy in terms of pure tools could certainly be worth a mid-second round pick, but the question here more is finding that identity. And speaking of identity, Mathis Preston is a natural goal scorer. He's a guy with a wicked shot, a whole bunch of dynamism, the highest skill player left on the board, and the Anaheim Ducks swing on him here at 50th overall. Had a down season this season, this year, split between the Spokane Chiefs and the Vancouver Giants in the Western Hockey League. Had higher rates than his D-1, but if you're looking for a guy that has boom potential, could be a top 6 like dominant rush creating goal scorer. Yeah, he's undersized and he's a bit too perimeter based for my liking. He isn't all that physically engaged or doesn't have that like small man built like a fire hydrant vibe to him. But I think that Mathis Preston has real top 40 value in this class. So to get him at 50th overall, I think very good business here from the Anaheim Ducks, who have been targeting, I think, some pretty high upside swings as well, with Jaden Kurtz being the 45th pick recently. A guy I like a lot. I watched a lot this season in the USHL and the games he played with the Chicago Steel. I think between those two players, you got a defenseman, you got a forward, you got really nice value there. And then the Carolina Hurricanes picked up a player that had first-round value because they only ever pick fallers. That is their identity as a drafting team, is pick the guys that shouldn't be available anymore. William Hawkinson is right there. He's a player that had first-round pedigree for most of the season. He's a 6'5", 217-pound mean left shot defenseman. He's a player that sure leaves you wanting maybe a little bit more in terms of true puck moving upside, but William Hawkinson is really a mean rush defensive specialist, a guy that is tough to beat, tough to get around. I think he's great value for the Carolina Hurricanes. Could be a third pair, like number 5 guy, maybe number 4 if he develops really nicely. There certainly is that upside. He's not like this elite skating guy like most Swedish defensemen in this range often are. He's a decent mover in terms of how he gets around the ice, but he's not like this. That he's not like a Malte Gustafsson in terms of his skating ability whatsoever. That being said, I think I expected him to go top 35. So to see him go at 51, Carolina always getting good value. They keep doing so here, and he plays a mean brand of hockey that could help you in the playoffs down the road. And then we've got the Edmonton Oilers' first pick of the draft here at number 52. I wonder where they go with this selection. In terms of some players available that are of note, guy I like a lot is Alexander Bilecki from the Kitchener Rangers, a defenseman with strong skating who just didn't play all that much because it was a stacked roster. We were stuck on the third pair. Jonas Sigurdsson from the Prince Albert Raiders is a really skilled big man, 6'3". He's a guy with high-end IQ, very, very good playmaker. He has a massive physical frame, and he could be like a playoff specialist, like power forward guy for you. In terms of top talents, everyone's off the board for me. In terms of guys in my top 32, do we have any remaining? Nope. No top 32 talent left on my board. Dmitry Borachev's probably a goaltender who should go soon. He's a player I'd keep an eye on. Rudolph Burzkalns is a hardworking, massive center who dominates the net front, 6'3". Think like a Nick Raw or Dmitry Voronkov style of player. Played with Muskegon this season. He's a guy I have a lot of time for, and I think that there's also some room to grow in terms of puck skills. Beyond that, yeah, Breck Liskey getting into that range now. Timofey Runso. Ethan McKenzie should be coming pretty soon. If you want like a violent winger, go for Landon Amrine. Though he's also just a pretty like skill guy. Though he is 6'5", absolutely huge. Yeah, we're very much into that second round tier of players now. To me, there's no like clear first round faller that is like still off the board. Like for me, that was Xavier Villeneuve was the one who fell, as well as Brooks Rogowski probably to day two that I did not expect to still be available. More so for Rogowski than for Villeneuve, to be fair. But yeah, especially now with Preston off the board and Hawkinson, you're starting to get a bit more into the weeds here, where I think there's a drop off in talent in this draft class. So yeah, I think my top couple tiers of players are fully taken, which happens by 51st overall is earlier than it was in past seasons for me. Like something I've found while doing this for multiple years is every year I somehow just get a bit closer to the mean a little bit with my rankings as well in terms of the players I value. Like, sure, I still have some nice swings on talent, but like one of those guys for me was Jaden Kurtz, and he went 45th overall. He was one of my like kind of like subtle guys in the back pocket that might fall outside the top 100, but is for me a top 50 talent. But no, he's gone at 45, and Anaheim saw it the same way. The Tampa Bay Lightning trade up to the Edmonton selection. Clearly, they have a fall. Excuse me. Clearly, they have a faller in mind here at 52nd overall. Look, if I'm Edmonton, I'm hesitant making a trade with Tampa Bay if they want to move up. That being said, do I know who I'd be banging the table for at this pick? Not necessarily. Like, there's definitely still some intriguing options on the board. I could see them going for like a Sivertson or a Burzkalns in this range. Maybe they want the goalie and Dmitry Borichev. I could certainly understand that as well. Let me see what that trade is specifically. Is it just a late pick to move up a couple slots, or is this like an asset? Oh, okay. So we're also getting a Brandon Carlo deal to the Blues apparently here today. That's exciting. The Oilers pick trade pick 52 to Tampa for 58 and 133. So yeah, it's a late pick to move up. Curious to see who the guy is here for the Lightning. I expect it to be a physically engaged, tough to play against guy. That'd be my guess at this stage. But oh my God, who? Oleg Kulibiakin is the guy they move up for. Okay, now they're going to make me look silly. Now here's a player I did not prep for today, playing with the Halifax Mooseheads in the QMJHL. 5'10", 179 pound winger. He's a guy with who's just an elite carrier with excellent handling ability. Apparently, this is a swing on that raw skill in terms of just raw ability and craftiness. He's apparently an automatic on power play entries and quite dangerous in zone with his playmaking ability too. Just needs better skating, better physicality. Hockey sense could take a step as well. He was not ranked by us at Elite Prospects, but there still is a player profile written on him. So certainly still a guy that's on the radar, even if he is not among the top 150-ish players that we ranked. And yeah, like he's a high skill guy. He was the 9th overall pick in last year's CHL import draft by the Mooseheads. And he did also lead the team with 73 points in 64 games. So if that tells you that I did not do my homework on just watching general Q hockey this year, you would be correct. I did ISO viewings mostly this season for the QMJHL rather than just full on games watching the entire league. Then we have the next pick for the Philadelphia Flyers, and I like this one a lot. I already mentioned his name as a potential candidate for the next selections, and that's Breck Liskey from the Everett Silvertips going to the Philadelphia Flyers. And with Liskey, you are getting a one of the more interesting defensemen left on the board here, who is just one of the most versatile players in this draft class. Think maybe like a Dylan DeMello, who can step into any role, can help you on retrievals, is defensively competent, hard to play against, good skating ability, but nothing is exceptional. Nothing is elite. No tool jumps off the page as truly high end, but is just like all around a do-it-all defenseman who probably ends up being a third pair guy if he hits, but has some potential to be an insulator on a second pairing, who just does a bunch of everything. I love this selection here for the Philadelphia Flyers. 6'1", 190 pounds as well, as a right shot defenseman. Good pickup here. Good value. The Pittsburgh Penguins do it. Wow. They pick a player that I deemed worthy of being selected for like 2 drafts in a row now. That's Tomas Galvash out of Czechia, going in the second round. To me, it's slightly silly because Galvash hasn't shown anything this year that he didn't, to me, show last year. It's just the stage on which it happened, being the World Juniors, was just bigger. Yeah, cool. I mean, I like the player. I like the pick. Like, I'm really excited to see Galvash get selected. I'm a bit annoyed because he played pro hockey a year ago. Obviously, the point tallies like exploded a bit this season, going from 11 points in 43 games to 24 and 32. But for those who don't know, this is a high-end skating left shot defenseman who's small, is a great puck mover, a guy that helps out defensively, really, really quick in a straight line, excellent off the rush, can really kill you in transition, as he did to many teams at the World Juniors. And then this year against pro competition in the Czech Pro League with Billy Tigre Liberec, 32 games, 8 goals, 24 points is pretty nuts production. But again, I don't think he took massive developmental strides this season. I'm not saying that as a critique on the player whatsoever. I think that he is the style of player that he is. I love the style of player that he is. I think he's awesome. I just think that if you liked him enough for a second round pick this year, you should have spent a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round selection on him a year ago. That to me is a slight miss in terms of scouting due diligence for last year. But hey, look, Dubas and the Penguins love their high IQ guys. Here's a mobile special profile where there aren't, now with Villeneuve and Blale off the board, this is probably the next best guy who is that profile of shifty, tough to contain left shot defenseman. Again, just should have gone for that pick last year, as I would have done, or the year before that, which I also would have done. He was a ranked draft talent for me 2 years running, and now in the 3rd year, where I ranked him around the same range. Now he goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins at 54th overall, which is kind of amusing. That said, I kept ranting and rambling about Galvash because I also am not familiar with Alan Shaiklislamov. I love the name, from Russian junior hockey in Ufa. Probably should know him if he's with Ufa, since I did watch some Zhuravsky this season. What number is he? Alan. Okay, I did not watch all the Russian players this year, clearly. Very young for the draft class. Wow. It's just September 4th, 08 birthday. Just 11 days off, 10 days off from being a 2024 eligible. Scored really well at a good clip this season with Ufa in the MHL, Russian junior hockey. 18 goals, 35 points in 31 games. Decent frame, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. He was our 52nd ranked player at EP. Clearly, I need to listen more to the Russian discourse in the group chat. Here's a player that certainly has a lot of love, was ranked higher than he got picked. So who am I to be surprised here whatsoever? Interesting profile of player. I'm gonna call him Alan. I woke up like an hour and a half ago, so an hour ago. This is still too early for me to be learning new Russian names that are long and have many consonants. But he's clearly going to be staying in Russia probably another year in the MHL, at least maybe start next season. Could certainly be going there, and he has a very good shot. dogged worker, and human wrecking ball. I love that profile. I think the Flames need more of that. This sounds a little bit like a Matvey Greedon style player, and they've certainly been doing wonders with Greedon's development. And next we have Yuri Ivanov as the top Russian goaltender selected by the Boston Bruins. I was expecting Dmitry Borachev to be the first Russian goaltender. So instead, it is Ivanov. I know there was some discourse around this specifically. Interesting selection here for the Boston Bruins, playing in the St. Petersburg. No, this is the other Ivanov. This is Sergei Ivanov. I'm looking at the wrong Ivanov. He's a player that was, let's pick the right guy. Why is he not popping up on Elite Prospects? Am I misspelling something? That's certainly possible. Yuri Ivanov. There we go. Let's get this guy up for the Boston Bruins. Let's see what is up for him. 6'2", goaltender, a player that I don't think ranked at Elite Prospects, but did feature in our draft guide. We have extensive goaltending coverage with like 4, 5, 6 goaltending scouts at this stage. And here's a guy that played very well. Right. Of course, he's the goaltender who carried Spartak Moscow's team to the MHL finals, and he stole games en route. So this is a bit like a that kind of big playoff run for him definitely earned him this selection. And also probably the youngest player selected in this entire draft class. September 12th birthday. That's 2 days off from next year. So this makes sense, I guess, for the Boston Bruins. Put up some pretty crazy numbers. I mean, he had a 924 with Spartak Moscow in the regular season, and then just absolutely locked in the playoffs with a 928. Played 16 games and allowed 21 goals. This is interesting. This is an interesting player for sure for the Bruins. And we got another goaltender off the board. Let's see how long Borachev stays available. Would not be shocked if he goes here to the Carolina Hurricanes at 57th overall. They love their Russians. They love their fallers. They picked up William Hawkinson at 51. And in the first round, where did they go again there? I still have to mentally assign these players to each team. Carolina... Did they trade the pick? I guess Apologies, everyone. Oh my goodness. How are still 6 people here? I've been gone for ages. Sorry about that. My router decided that today was the day to just crash randomly at noon in beautiful sunny weather. So yeah, apologies for having missed the last little bit here, but the draft keeps on rolling. It's kept being very interesting. The Montreal Canadiens traded up about 5 or so slots with the Carolina Hurricanes to select Timofey Runso at 57th overall. Very aggressive, activating right shot defenseman. That reminds me a lot of the Bryce Pickford pick from last year. It's not as big of a shot, but still D+1 WHL defenseman who had his breakout campaign and absolutely lit it up in terms of both munching minutes as well as scoring points. So I like that a lot for the Habs. It's a targeted selection, and I think Runso is the most interesting right D left available. I like him more than an Alan Lowry for instance. But yeah, just looking at the draft tracker here. Let me get this right back up on screen for you all. And wow, we have Joe Aginla going to the Calgary Flames at 65. Okay, that's how you start off the third round, I guess. We're gonna start by just like wrapping up the second round here. I missed a couple picks, so let me bring this up on screen for you all. We've got the draft picks here, and I'll just there we go. So to wrap up the second round, we had Timofey Runso going to Montreal. Edmonton got the big centerman and Rudolph's Burzcount. I like that pick a lot. Burzcount is a beauty. Hardworking, big boy, can dominate the net front, and there's some skill to work with here as well. Jakub Vanacek is a defenseman that I know some of my colleagues have enjoyed as well. But Alexander Bilecki going to Toronto, I really like that pick. This is a player that I think would go a lot higher today if he had not been playing on the Kitchener Rangers, because the Kitchener Rangers were awesome. They were elite this season. And as a result of that, Bilecki had small minutes. He was stuck on a third pairing. Yeah, he was really, really kind of a depth piece on that team. Whereas on other rosters, he could have been a top 4, top pairing guy, and I think he would have gone earlier. The Carolina Hurricanes went out and got Viggo Sorensen. That's an interesting one. I didn't expect him to go this high, but clearly they really like Sorensen. Philadelphia goes with another goaltender, big goaltender I'm not familiar with Martin Slohavec. I'm definitely butchering that pronunciation. And then the Rangers got great value, I think, with Ben McBeath here at 64 on the board, a player that just brings a lot of puck moving to the blue line. But let's catch up with the third round. And yeah, Samuel Alalari is off the board here at 66 to Chicago as well. Joe Aginla at 65 is interesting to me. Some people call the Malhotra pick a Nepo pick. This to me feels more like that in terms of what I've seen of these players. Like Malhotra had value at number 3. Joe Aginla, look, he's awesome at retrieving pucks. He's still quite small, 5'10", 170. This is not like an awful off-the-board pick or anything, but in terms of tools, like this is far from a Tej Aginla. The shot, the skating, the handling, the physicality are all like subpar NHL caliber, I would say, in terms of projection. He's going to have to really become more dynamic if he wants to make a big push for the NHL. That being said, he is young with the class, August 13th. Maybe we see him absolutely explode with the Vancouver Giants this upcoming season. He's going to have other really great players to work off with, including Mathis Preston. Like those two guys on a power play could be very exciting. But I also feel like having a Mathis Preston in the lineup is going to constrain the opportunities that Joe Aginla receives. So I'm not sure. This feels high to me for the Calgary Flames to get Joe Aginla. Also, did they trade for that pick? At some point they did. Let me see if this was a trade, because who would Vancouver have traded to? It could have been Elias Lindholm deal, I guess. Let's see. I think this was a former trade. Anyways, let's see what we've got here. Denai Shaikov, another goaltender, Kazakh goaltender playing in the queue with the Gatineau Olympic, is the next player off the board here for the New York Rangers. Look, I have not watched this player extensively. That being said, I am just, I think, on vibes, a fan of Kazakh goalies in general. I think that they are fun. They usually have a lot of personality. And let's see if Shaikov put up some really nice numbers this season. In the queue, he's apparently very athletic, plays a relatively quick game. He's got good quick hands. He's a re-entry. Yeah, this is why. Yeah, he's a 19-year-old goaltender who this was his first season in North America. He was the uncontested starter on a not-so-great Gatineau team. 50 games played, 903 save percentage here for Denai Shaikov, and decent frame at 6'2". Interesting selection here for the New York Rangers. And then Carolina Hurricanes are right back on the board here at 68. This was one of the picks they got when Carolina for trading down, where Carolina targeted at 42nd overall. Was that Hawkinson that went in that slot? I think it may have been at 42. Oh no, it was the other way around. They got 42. What was that trade? I remember Carolina traded pick 42 to Calgary for 51 and 68. Oh, right, because Calgary just has an infinite amount of picks. So this was Carolina and not Calgary picking at this slot. I see. Okay, I got the other way around. Zachary Lansard is the player. Whoa. Who's that? Zachary Lansard. We're getting into the territory where there's players that I'm just not all that familiar with. Regina Pat's boy, right? Okay, yeah, the 6 foot, 174-pound right shot, who's young for the class, and had 24 goals and 56 points in 68 games this season. I remember this guy. I watched him, I think, one game this season, and it was just like the thing that stood out was the engine on this guy. So hardworking, absolutely just pummeling guys on the forecheck. He's not the biggest, heaviest guy, but he just always goes all in on everything. So that's a fair selection here. I mean, that's the style of play that Carolina has. So certainly makes sense to get a guy that has both that engine and also some skill to boot, while being young and having some room to grow and develop. But let's get this back to the third round. We got the Toronto Maple Leafs on the board here at 69th overall. Really like their recent pick of Alexander Bilecki in the late second round from the Kitchener Rangers. I thought that was really nice value. In this range, I mean, are there any guys that I would deem to be fallers in here? Like, most of my, I mean, is that my entire top 40 that's gotten out? Jonas Sigurdsson is still available. Dmitry Borochev is still available. Georgios Pantelis, if you want a big, mean defenseman. Wait, I think the pick is in. Ethan McKenzie is going to say, yeah, I like this pick. A re-entry player. Another WHL re-entry after Timofey Runsell went to Montreal a few picks earlier. Ethan McKenzie had a great showing at the World Juniors for Team Canada as kind of a surprise addition, because he absolutely came out of the gate this season with a head of steam, playing with the Oil Kings in the WHL. I like this selection. He's off to the University of North Dakota alongside some excellent defensemen, so don't expect him to play first pairing minutes, because there will also be guys like Carson Karls and Keaton Verhoff in that program next season. But Ethan McKenzie's basically a draft eligible this season because he's a September 2nd. Oh no, 2 years ago. He's a double re-entry. Anyways, he turns 20 on September 2nd. Give him a year in the NCAA, and he might be NHL ready right after that. He's a decent puck mover, and he's a guy that just never stops battling or working. So that's a profile that this team needs more of. One of the player comps that we had for him at Elite Prospects was Jake McCabe. So this is a guy that's a really good baseline in terms of skating. There's perhaps some offense to uncover here in that Jake Wallman type of mold, but physically engaged, 6'1", 190 pounds, intelligent player, doesn't overcomplicate things with the puck on his stick, and could just be your mobile two-way third pair guy. That's good value here. He was definitely among my next 5 guys that I would want to see drafted. So like that for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then the Nashville Predators stop the fall for Dmitry Borichev at 70th overall. Arguably the most athletic goaltender in this draft class. Our goaltending scouts at Elite Prospects love this kid all season long. He's 6'2", 188 pounds, but a player with a significant upside, especially through that baseline of athleticism that he does bring to the equation, and a player that had some first round talk for us in mid-season and only fell a little bit later on. Pretty similar profile to Pyotr Andrianov, who was a first-round pick a year ago. So to get him here in the 3rd round, Nashville is excellent at drafting goaltenders. They're excellent at drafting falling goaltenders, undervalued netminders. They did it with Jack Ivankovic a year ago, and now they've got Dmitry Borichev. Excellent, excellent, excellent value. He's probably the best skater among goaltenders in this year's draft. Just the edge work, the little details, that athleticism, the explosive post-to-post transitions are excellent. Where you need some more development with Dmitry Borichev is really in terms of play reading and in terms of positioning. He can overcommit. He can kind of still leave some holes and kind of like lose track of his post a little bit more than other netminders in this class. And he's a bit raw. But goaltenders, they need time anyways. Give it 4-5 years, and I think Dmitry Borichev will be either the best or the second best goaltender in this class. And then the Winnipeg Jets follow that up with another netminder in Samuel Hrenak from the USHL in Fargo. Wow, I was not expecting him to go this high on draft day. He's a good like size for a netminder, 6'3" there and 190 pounds. And he put up, I guess, like good numbers in the small sample he did play with Fargo. When he did arrive, he was dominant. This was, I mean, USHL does not see good goaltending numbers. This guy had a .918 save percentage in 9 games after arriving with a 7-1-1 record. That is Samuel Hrenak, who was playing in Slovakia to start the season. Played 16 games in the Slovak like U18 league. Played a lot overall in the junior ranks there in Slovakia before making the jump to the USHL, and was again superb in those 9 regular season games. And then they did not make the playoffs, so no postseason statistics there. So I like it. It's a swing. Then the Ottawa Senators go for Adam Nemec. Interesting pick here for the Ottawa Senators. A player that is one of the older ones for the draft class. He's an October 18th birthday, but I know a lot of people saw him as a second round talent, and here he goes in the early 3rd round. Started the season playing pro hockey with HK Mitra in Slovakia, 28 games, 15 points there. Then moved over to the Sudbury Wolves in the Ontario Hockey League with 14 goals and 35 points in 31 games. He's just a guy that gets a bunch of puck touches. I believe there's no relation to Simon Nemec. It's just another Oh, it is the younger brother. Sorry, my bad. I knew this. I knew it was a younger brother. I'm looking at the Elite Prospects page, and I was like, oh, I don't see any family listed, but I am blind. Of course, it is Simon Nemec's younger brother going to the Ottawa Senators. Playmaking center, a guy with a really good sense of timing and understanding of when his teammates will arrive in space in the middle of the ice. I think a patient offensive creator. In terms of 3rd round pick, I think there is some 3rd line upside here if he hits. So not the highest upside player, but there aren't that many high upside guys left on the board at this stage. In terms of guys that I would classify as at least higher upside, we still do have a few options here. I've been a fan all year long of Jonas Sigurdsson from the WHL. He's still a player that's left available with really impressive IQ, very versatile forward, a player that I think could make a difference for a team, especially with his level of physicality and playmaking ability. A lot of things just blend really nicely with that player. He's probably my one faller here left available in the 3rd round. He's probably going to get snapped up relatively soon. And we have the next pick made as well by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's Zach Olson from the Saskatoon Blades in the Western Hockey League. Let's see what his production was like this season. And yeah, so in the Western Hockey League, he put up 34 points, including 18 goals this season in 57 games. He's committed to Colorado College in the NCAA for next season, and he's a guy that is just like incredibly quick, heavy, 203 pounds, right shot, 6'1" forward. A guy that just goes in straight lines and collides heavily. So you get your direct checking guy who checks with speed, doesn't bring the most offensive skills to the table, but you don't need that in this range of the draft. Then Beckett Hamilton is the selection for the Colorado Avalanche here up next. The 5'11" center is an interesting target, I would say, for the Avs, playing with the Red Deer Rebels in the WHL. Had 62 points, including 24 goals this season in 67 games. Also played for Canada at the U18 Worlds, where he had a nice 2-goal performance in that dominant 7-0 win over Finland. Also scored a goal in that 8-0 drubbing over Norway. But he's a player that is undersized, 170 pounds, but he just does a little bit of everything, can play the wing, can play a bit of center as well, who just constantly is forcing turnovers. So here's your kind of disruptive guy to maybe be a bottom sixer down the line. And that leaves the St. Louis Blues with the next pick. Then Toronto's right back up on the board at 76 before the Rangers, Canucks, and Red Wings wrap up the picks before we get to Los Angeles at 80th overall. Yeah, I think this is where the class thins out, or maybe it has already been for a little bit. I think as soon as Borchev went off the board and McKenzie was gone, there aren't many players I'd be overly excited about anymore. And yeah, we're getting to that range now. St. Louis picking Luke Scherer. This is value. This is good value, I think, in this range for the St. Louis Blues. Scherer is a play that had some real hype to him coming into the season with the NTDP. In terms of just raw profile, nearly 200 pounds, pro body. He's absolutely ripped. 6'3", right shot defenseman who skates incredibly smoothly. That profile goes high on draft day, always. That is a popular profile. It's just he didn't show all that much proactiveness this season with the NTDP, was far from a creative force on that team. I wouldn't say he was like an elite shutdown guy either. That was kind of like your has all the tools but not the impact type of guy. And yeah, so I think this is the range for that style of player. He could be a third pair right D who just has a nice frame, plays physical, very mobile. Nice value. I like this for the Blues. For the Leafs, I think Scherer would actually have been one of their targets in this range. I could see Sivertson going, but I've been saying that for a while now. He's fallen. Georgios Pantelis, if you want a right D, I believe is still on the board as well, if I'm not mistaken. He could be a target. I think that's also good value in this range of the draft. Beyond that, yeah, I don't think you really have many top 50 talents left available here. Landon Amrine, Adam Valentini, I think would be really nice value in this range. Just a fire hydrant of a player who plays the right way. I think that could be a nice fit for the Leafs here for basically any team in the third round here, as we are 11 picks made in the third round here on draft day. But yeah, how are you guys feeling? How are you enjoying the third or the day 2 of the draft here? Thanks for following along. Appreciate the people in the room. And yeah, again, day 2 is always like my Christmas. I love the draft when it moves quickly, when we see things happening a little bit more with some pace, unlike day 1 of the draft, which is molasses more often than not. And yeah, but I'm looking if we have any kind of trades happening. I don't see anything. It's been an interesting draft here so far, and yeah, let's see. So next pick is Måns Gudmundsson. I like this big right D from Sweden, 6'3". I think that's really good value. Färjestad system is always good as well in Sweden. Måns Gudmundsson is certainly a guy in the range here. Yeah, I like this pick. I think he maybe should have gone a little bit earlier too. I mean, he has a nice big frame. Right shot is always valued. He's young for the class, a June 9th birthday. He's at his best when he gets to be mean and physical, but he also is a pretty skilled puck mover with a very like with decent skating, not like high end, but he's a decent skater. Yeah, I think that could be a really nice profile for this team. Think like um, an Andrew Peak style of players, our player comp at EP for this guy. I like that in terms of just that physical edge, lockdown potential, much more defensive leaning than offense. And then you have another guy that's kind of up that alley with Charlie Morrison going to the New York Rangers at 70th overall. 77th, if I can speak. 6'4", 200 pounds. Charlie Morrison's more of your shutdown, physical D, tough to play against. I think another guy that's really nice value here in this range of the draft, a guy I had a bit higher for sure than this range on draft day, and a player that I think is yeah, like solid value, a guy that I know many of our scouts at EP quite liked as well. So Morrison was our 72nd ranked player, just mean and mobile, and that's the main things that you're looking for here, rather than swinging on puck skills on the blue line. The Rangers are just going for mobility and meanness, and I think that makes a bunch of sense in the third round. And then the Vancouver Canucks go with Dmitry Ivchenko here at 78 on the board. 6'3" netminder, played in Russia, Omsk system. Let's see what his numbers were like this season. But yeah, we're getting a real run on netminders here in the third round. Teams are getting their guy, getting a bit antsy that maybe their favorite netminder gets picked up because we've had a run on goaltenders in this round of the draft. But yeah, Ivchenko, let's see, this season, again, playing in the Omsk system in Russia, is a very disciplined netminder. Again, has that frame. He's young, June 29th birthday, so he's 2 days away from turning 18. So happy early birthday to Dmitry. And he was playing in the MHL overwhelmingly this season. Had a 922 save percentage in 19 games played, 11-5-1 record. Yeah, this is a guy that that is an interesting target, I think, in the draft, with just decent tools. Seems reliable, if not perhaps the most dynamic netminder, but dynamism isn't always what you're looking for in goal. Speaking of that run on goaltenders, it continues as Detroit selects Mikhail Ursulak from Prince Albert in the WHL, a massive 6 foot for 224-pound netminder. That is a crazy frame for a young 18-year-old goaltender playing in junior hockey. 36 games this season, a 907 save percentage with Prince Albert. That was a dominant team this year. Had a 28-4-4 record. So maybe you could look at it a little bit as like, okay, proven pedigree, he's winning. But also on the flip side, 907 save percentage on a team with a 28-4-4 record when you play is how much of that weight are you carrying? But with this player, it's really power. Like, he's just explosive in post transitions. A guy that takes a bit more of a conservative approach, leans on his size of just the ability he has to cover the net as kind of his biggest asset in goal, rather than trying to take risks and play it risky. Then the LA Kings go for Blake Zielinski at 80th overall, which I think is really nice value. Zielinski's one of the highest skill players left on the board in this range. A very gifted goal scorer, got a heavy shot, gets it off his stick so quickly. He's committed to Providence College, played with the Des Moines Buccaneers in the USHL this season, 25 goals, 55 points in 53 games. 6 feet tall, 187 pounds. He's a guy that is really a battler, whether it be behind the net, along the boards, in front of the net. He's a guy that just immediately looks to create offense as soon as he turns over the puck. And it's why he was our 56th ranked player at Elite Prospects this season. That blend of skill, middle drive, physicality is really impressive for Blake Zielinski. I think that's excellent value there for the Los Angeles Kings. They're at 80th overall. For the live stream, guys, I'll be wrapping up the third round here, maybe do a couple picks in the fourth, and probably call it a day at that point. Thank you all for sticking around, even though we had some technical difficulties earlier. My router absolutely abandoned me at the worst possible moment, and the stream didn't die. I was just not there for a solid 10 minutes. And still some people stuck around through that. So I thank you for it. And then at 81st overall, we've got Thomas Horenko to the New York Rangers, the Slovak center who absolutely lit up the World Juniors, a guy with a lot of offensive potential. I see him more as a winger than a center down the road, but developing with HK Nitra in Slovakia, which has been an absolute pipeline of development. If you remember, Shimon Nemec came through there as well as his younger brother Adam this season. And he had 31 points in 44 games against pro competition, 9 goals, 22 points. That is excellent. At the World Juniors, had 5 goals and 8 points in 5 games. The production is wildly good with this player. The question marks here are a little bit more in terms of the consistency. Still a very dynamic creator, very elusive, very difficult to contain, and a guy that can absolutely carry the puck and create some really beautiful playmaking sequences. The skill with him is one of the better ones outside the first round. So to get him in the mid-third, I think is excellent value here for the Rangers. That is the type of player to target in this range. And then we've got Ryan Chudzinski going to the Anaheim Ducks. Again, Anaheim going into that Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League pool with Ryan Chudzinski from the Moncton Wildcats. Here's another player I know quite a few scouts were big fans of over the course of this season. Ryan Chudzinski with the Moncton Wildcats this season is a 6', 190-pound right shot right wing, had 21 goals and 38 points in 54 games. He's an absolute missile when he's chasing the puck. You're getting him for that direct forechecking kind of identity that he brings. He's going to finish his hits. He's going to back check with intensity, and he just makes opponents make mistakes. He applies pressure and forces errors, and you love that profile. Anaheim wants more of that. That, I think, is really nice value in this range of the draft. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are here so far on day 2. It's flown by relatively quickly. Only an hour and 10 minutes here into the live stream. The draft started about 10-15 minutes before I got on. Things are flying. We're gonna wrap up round 3 in probably 10-15 minutes at this rate. This has been flying by. But yeah, the LA Kings are on the board, followed by the Edmonton Oilers. The Toronto Maple Leafs again have a lot of picks in this range of the draft, and the Pittsburgh Penguins and Ottawa Senators there. I believe this was one of the picks that they got in the Brandon Carlo deal with the St. Louis Blues. Let me see if there's any news or any trades that have occurred. I don't believe there is, at least nothing massively notable. But yeah, things are flying here for us on day 2 of the draft. But yeah, let's see. Next pick. Who does LA want here? They've already got some interesting players. Let's see what their draft class is looking like as a whole so far. That's okay. First round. Oh, I hate this. This sucks. Okay. NHL, fix your draft thing. This is annoying to work with. I should be looking at the EP one, but I think I have to refresh the page for each pick there. So I'm not going to do that right now. We'll just keep it here as is. But next pick, Los Angeles. It's taken a while. Maybe we see a trade here. Maybe someone takes a faller. Again, for me, that guy would be Jonas Sigurdsson that I'd be trading up for in this range. I think that he presents really, really tantalizing value in the 3rd round. Beyond him, who else is falling? Not that many people, honestly. Georgios Pantelis, I'm kind of surprised is still on the board here. I expect him to go soon. Landon Amrine and Adam Valentini as well are probably some of the next guys I'd be looking at. Adam Anderson, if you want a big, hard-hitting forward from Sweden. Harrison Bettiger is probably the goaltender I'd be eyeing at this stage. If you want a mobile defenseman, Jakub Floris, the Slovak, is probably interesting in this range too. Lars Steiner, if you want a fire hydrant who's tough to play against. And LA is taking their sweet time here. to either make a pick or trade it or decide which of the two they want to do. Yeah, this is fascinating. Minnesota trades up here. Okay, so the Minnesota Wild select at 83rd overall. Let's see who the player is. What is the deal here? I'm not seeing the deal coming through just yet. Anyways, it's a third round pick. Who fully cares what the trade is at this point? It's probably a third next year or a fourth and a fifth or something along those lines, just rearranging the draft order a little bit, nitpicking. And yeah, Minnesota goes for one of the guys I mentioned, in Adam Anderson, the hulking centerman out of Sweden, who is big and heavy and mean to play against. 6'4", 218 pounds. Good value in this range. He absolutely hits like a truck. You're getting a very physical guy who's a capable passer of the puck, can delegate the rush chances to teammates. He's young for the draft class, as a July 2nd, 2008 birthday. Doesn't really bring you like high-end skating or a heavy shot or good hands necessarily, but he's just an off-puck supporter who's ready to play pro hockey at the net front. So just your prototypical 4C is Adam Anderson. So totally valid selection in this range of the draft. And then Edmonton goes out for Malcolm Yestrin at 84th overall. Malcolm Yestrin from Sweden is the pick here for the Edmonton Oilers. Player who's developing in the Moto system is, of course, the younger brother of last year's pick and recently traded Milton Yestrin. New St. Louis Blue, was a part of the Jordan Kyrou, Connor McMichael deal. And Malcolm Yestrin played in 24 games in the U20 this season. 9 goals, 25 points. He's an August 19th birthday, so you're getting another young player here who creates through his off-puck offensive instincts. He just always arrives around the slot at the right time. He can show some playmaking flashes from the boards. He never stays stationary. He's always moving his feet. Could be a bottom six piece there for the Edmonton Oilers, and that leaves the Toronto Maple Leafs at 85. And I think Sigurdsson might be the guy here. I think he's up their alley as a big winger. Maybe a Landon Amrine, another big winger. Both of these are power forward role players, but that brings some skill to the equation as well. I think the Leafs could use that kind of profile as well, but we'll see what the pick ends up becoming here. Yeah, this has been fun so far. And yeah, so the Leafs are up next at 85th overall. We'll do the live stream for the top 100 and then maybe call it a day at that point. I have some other things I would love to do today, including spending time with my lovely partner. So I don't want to just be staring at a screen all day because it is beautiful out here today. So give it another 20 minutes and we'll probably call it that. But 85th, the Leafs, I like, again, Sigurdsson. I think Adam Valentini would be very fun, a GTHL product with a decent amount of skill, who's just built like a fire hydrant. Landon Amrine, if you want a big, raw, playmaking power forward. Some nice profiles there. I'd probably go for forward here. But let's see where the value lies for them. If they're going D, Jakub Floris is probably the guy for me in terms of being like a 6'3", smooth skating, physical right shot defenseman who has a pretty heavy shot from the point as well. Nothing overly special, but pretty decent profile. That being said, they did just go right D as well a bit earlier with Mans Gudmundsson. So maybe forward is the play here. I think there's some more value at forward than on D on the board at this stage. And I've really liked the Toronto Maple Leafs draft so far. I think that this new administration is drafting with purpose. And I think that it's definitely a better drafting record this year than it was the last few under Tree Living. Let's see what the overall draft haul is for the Leafs. Of course, you have Gavin McKenna at first overall. And Like Goodmanson, as I mentioned. Trying to look at the draft tracker. Where's the EP draft tracker? I cannot even find it on our own website. What's going on here? There we go. I got it. Awesome. Oh, they're going goalie. Makes sense. Okay. Juuso Ainasto is the pick for the Maple Leafs here at 85th overall from Jokerit U20 in Finland. Had an 892 save percentage in 14 games at that level this season. That is interesting. Here's a 6'4", 200-pound goaltender who split the year between the U20 and U18 level. Yeah, you're swinging on a guy with good skating. He's very explosive, quick in his transitions, on top of being huge. There's way worse baselines to work from in terms of netminders. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins, they are only going with smart players that are mostly on the smaller side here since Dubas took over. Shocker there. It's Pierce Bouille from the Owen Sound Attack in the Ontario Hockey League. Scored at a point-a-game pace. Very good goal scorer there in the OHL. At 5'10", 160 pounds is very, very slight as a frame. Overall, interesting pick. I think this is also the range for Pierce Bouille. And I like that pick. 32 goals and 43 assists in 75 games this campaign for the winger. And that means that the Pittsburgh Penguins have a pretty funny draft class, I would say, as a whole here in terms of profiles. You've got the Ruck Twins, you've got Thomas Galvas, and now you've got Pierce Bouille. The Ruck Twins are your big boys among that selection of players. They're 5'11.5", and then Thomas Galvas is a 5'10" undersized slight defenseman, and he's 20 years old. And Pierce Bouille is the smallest of the bunch at 160 pounds. Yeah, that is quite the small draft class, even by my estimation. I love my undersized Kings. But that being said, I wanted to still talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs with their draft haul so far. Really excellent, especially in the third round here. Look, McKenna at 1, no mistake made. He was the guy. Second pick at 60th overall, Alexander Bilecki, who I thought had at least an outside shot at being a first rounder, and they got him with one of the last picks of the second round. Awesome value there for the Leafs with Bilecki from the Kitchener Rangers. In the third round, Ethan McKenzie, 69th overall. Great selection for me. Could be a number 4, number 5 left shot defenseman in a roster playing down the left side. Zach Olson is just a missile of a forechecker. He's a role player, going to be bottom 6, forechecker, tough to play against, sure. Mans Goodmanson, good value, big right D, decent enough skater, not exceptional in terms of how he moves around the ice, but a guy that's just big, mean, and you don't beat him off the rush. And now you go for a big goaltender in Juuso Ainasto, who has a really good baseline of mobility and explosiveness in his lower body. Makes sense to me. Ottawa Senators are up next at 87th overall. Curious to see what they're going to do with their selection here. They've been drafting very, very nicely as well. Let's see what. Let me actually share a different screen here for you all. We're looking at the draft hauls for each individual team. The Ottawa Senators, of course, landed Jonas Lagerberg Owen, which was the swing of the first round in a way that I loved. They're at 25th overall. Very speedy, wicked shot. Only played 9 games, but at the U20 level in Sweden, had 9 goals and 16 points in like 33 penalty minutes. This guy's nuts. He's very fun. And then the last pick of the first round, Jackson Cover, excellent value. A guy who only strapped on skates the first time, really, 5 years ago after moving from the Cayman Islands to Canada. A player that brings a whole bunch of skill, niftiness, dynamism to the equation, but also is a hard worker. That's what the Sens need more of. So 2 high-skill wingers. And then Adam Niemetz was the 72 pick in the third round for this team. A guy that brings some playmaking ability, hard worker as well. A lot to like there for the Ottawa Senators. And the next pick is in, and it is a centerman. Let me refresh the page so you guys can see here. It's Oscar Holmertz, another Swede here. They got 2 OHLers and 2 U20 Swedish players here as their draft haul so far. Holmertz is a pretty skillful guy, I think. Like 13 goals, 36 points in 34 games. He's a guy that I know had some hype coming into the season as well, especially in terms of the skating, puck handling, and passing blend here for Oscar Holmertz. Very graceful mover, according to the EP staff, brings a lot of pace in transition. You can get a guy with speed and talent who's a centerman at 6'1", 194 pounds in this range of the draft. I think you're doing really, really, really well. If you want to look at what one of our scouts wrote on Holmertz, Lassi Alanen, amazing, amazing, amazing scout. Let's take a peek here at that report from Lassi. This is from September, so this is early on in the process. But he said, playing on the wing in this one, Holmertz scored 2 goals, showcasing his proficiency as an off-puck shooter. He did a good job at creating space and timing his movements on both goals, with the first one being a particularly nice-looking one-touch snapshot from the high slot. Instead of going all out all the time, he remains more of a calculating attacker, despite having very good quickness and speed for his level, picking his spots more carefully. Sometimes I wish he'd push his motor a bit harder, though. Combining his performance with his Klinka Gretzky Cup effort, he's been more of a connector rather than a true play driver. He did have a few defensive moments here, though, doing a good job battling for pucks when dropped low in the defensive zone, giving his skating and sense he could have an even greater impact at this level, even if he's already started off the season with 5 points in 3 games. So from the beginning of the year, this guy's shown a lot of skill. I think he's a really interesting target here for the Sens in the second round. So we love to see that. We're going to zoom back out for the entire third round. Let's see where we're at. And we have the next pick confirmed. The Boston Bruins go for Nils Bartoldsson from the Rögle system in Sweden. 23 goals and 42 points this season for the forward at the U20 level. Very good production there for the Swede. A player that certainly is not the biggest guy at 5'11", 179 pounds as a right wing. That being said, this season with that production that he showed at the U20, he still got into 5 SHL games for Rögle, was absolutely deadly in the U18 division. 8 goals, 13 points in 8 games was just too good for that level. And really what he brings, heavy shot, lots of speed, very dangerous shooter who can pick corners from range. That is the profile of a guy that could certainly hit in this range of the draft. And let's look at some interesting facts for this draft class. The oldest player selected was by the Pittsburgh Penguins, Tomas Galves. You got 4 other re-entries here that have been picked up. Timofey Runso for the Montreal Canadiens, Liam Lefebvre, I believe was it the Calgary Flames that picked up Lefebvre? It was, no, the LA Kings, of course, who got him. Denai Shaikov went over to the New York Rangers, and Ethan McKenzie going to the Leafs. We've got some big boys, Maxim Sokolovsky, Brooks Rogowski being your 2 looming 6'7+ guys. Ethan Belch is also no small player. Same with Soko and Big Rug being the heaviest guys in the class. Gleb Pugachev as well, going to the Montreal Canadiens in the first round, is a heavy customer. The youngest player selected so far is Yuri Ivanov, apparently. I believe he was almost eligible for next year's draft. Yeah, September 12th birthday. Insanely young. And the smallest boy is Viggo Bjork, who was a top 10 pick. We celebrate that we now live in an era where top 10 picks can be the smallest guys that go in the top 100. And the lightest guys, of course, being Pearson Bowie and Xavier Villeneuve at 163 pounds. But do we have the next pick here on the board? We have the next 2 picks. We have Yegor Ryabkin going to the Los Angeles Kings from the MHL, a goaltender here at a .915 save percentage in 11 games there with that organization. With Chaika Nizhny Novgorod, 6'6", 212 pounds. For the draft eligible netminder. He only got into those 11 games, so that is perhaps the concern here is sample, and he did not play past November, so that is certainly a question mark here. But an outstandingly athletic netminder, a guy with a lot of potential. There's certainly some upside here. I don't mind that one bit. Then the next picks here to the Tampa Bay Lightning, we've got Tomas Kralovic, big Slovak defenseman, 6'3", 202 pounds. Going to the Tampa Bay Lightning at 90th overall. And then the Sens go right back at 91 and go Louis-Félix Bourque. This guy is violent. He had 49 points in 54 games with the Drummondville Voltigeurs this season, 24 of those being goals. Here's a guy, 6'2", 216 pounds. He's big. He's a good skater. He brings speed and physicality. Absolutely a battering ram on the forecheck. And he's another summer birthday. A lot of summer birthdays in this year's draft class. July 15th, 2008 for Louis-Félix Bourque. Very, very nice pickup here for the Ottawa Senators, who continue to just add meanness to their ranks here in the third round. Looking again at their overall draft haul, we have in this range of the draft, Oscar Holmert, who's a swing on skill, Adam Niemetz, another swing on skill, Jackson Covert, a swing on skill, Jonas Lagerberg, Owen, a swing on skill, and now you've got your mean insulator that's just pain, inflicts pain on everyone that comes across his path. And then that's the 91st overall pick. We're going to keep going until we hit the triple digits at 100 overall, and then we'll probably call it a day for the live stream. Thank you so much to all for joining here with us today. This has been a whole bunch of fun. We've got another at least 10 minutes here, I think, as this range of the draft continues to roll out and unfold, with the Vegas Golden Knights on the clock at 92 and the Montreal Canadiens coming up next at 93. And in terms of followers for me, we're talking Landon Amrine, we're talking Adam Valentini. I think Valentini would be a very nice fit for the Habs. We've got Jonas Sigurdsson as well, in terms of guys that probably shouldn't be available anymore, but are probably the three guys that I'm eyeing in terms of falling talent here on draft day. Beyond that, Jakub Floris and Lars Steiner are probably the next batch of players I'd be eyeing. I quite like Carter Casey in goal. He's a bit wild and crazy, but he's a lot of fun. Oliver Murnieks from the St. John Sea Dogs is just a big, heavy, hard to play against 4C projection. I'd like that as well. Let's see if we have any updates. And nope, not yet. Maybe we have a trade to announce. Vegas could very, very, very possibly move their pick. They love moving down. They've been doing it over and over and over again so far here on draft day. In the first round, they moved down from 26 to 28 with the Montreal Canadiens, and then moved down again one more slot with the Anaheim Ducks down to 29th in two separate trades, and then ended up selecting who again? They got Juho Piparinen. They didn't overcomplicate it. He was just good value, right D. And then Benjamin Wilmot. Who's this guy? Ben Wilmot. Let us educate ourselves. Who Ben Wilmot is. I think I misspelled Wilmot in my search because he's not coming up. Let's first refresh this. There we go. Ben Wilmot from the Barrie Colts. 29 games, 32 points this season. Here's a player that is going to Ohio State University, a double re-entry. He's going to turn 20 in August, 6'1", 190 pounds, was around a point a game this year with Barrie, and also a point a game with the London Knights right before that, where he had 34 points in 37 games. So was an OHL rookie this season, coming from the USHL with the Sioux Falls Stampede last campaign. Interesting profile for this player. He just wins his battles and is tough to play against, and just absolutely will try to knock home shots and goals from the net front. So that's Ben Wilmot going to the Vegas Golden Knights. And let's see who the Habs have up their sleeves. They're going Cooper Cleaves. Wow. Okay. That's a swing from Dartmouth College. Cooper Cleaves. Big 6'3" right shot defenseman. He's a 20-year-old. Had 10 points in 30 games this season with Dartmouth, playing with his brother Hank Cleaves. who is a very interesting NCAA free agent. Who did he end up signing? I'm sure he did. He was one of the best NCAA free agents this season for Dartmouth. Let's see if I know Hank didn't sign with the Habs. At least yet. He hasn't signed yet. Maybe this is the Habs making a play for both of them. Hank Cleves was, for me, the second or third best college free agent after TJ Hughes this season. Absolutely wicked profile. He's big, 6'4", 201-pound, smooth handling of winger or center. Actually, he played center this season. 18 goals, 40 points in 35 games. Really, really, really cool profile. A lot of skill. I think he could be a third liner in the National Hockey League. And if the Habs draft his brother, who is a double re-entry, he's 20 years old, and the Cleves family is one that certainly gets better and better and better into their 20s. Apparently, if Hank is any indication, then Cooper Cleves could be also a play to get both of them. He's already a very exciting player there in the NCAA. He's a guy that absolutely just moves to the middle of the ice to get puck touches, likes to get into shooting lanes. He's a guy that is certainly very active in the offensive zone. He was projected more as like a late round swing for us at EP. That being said, certainly a very, very interesting target here for the Montreal Canadiens, especially if they go for the double trouble to get Hank Cleves as well on a contract. Though I think Hank wants to go back for one more season with Dartmouth before signing his pro deal. So maybe we see the Habs making a play in a year's time for Hank Cleves. But we've got a comment here from Marizdio. Any Latvians you think might get drafted? Well, yes, we do. I mean, one has already been picked, and that is Rudolf Burzkowns, who went in the second round to the Edmonton Oilers. He's committed to Boston College, played with the Muskegon Lumberjacks this season. He's a player I have a lot of time for. He was the 58th overall pick for the Oilers. But in terms of guys still on the board, there's one guy to keep an eye on, is Oliver Murnieks from the St. John Sea Dogs in the QMJHL. Murnieks had some hype to him a year ago. He's young for the class, July 31st, 08 birthday. He's not flashy at all. He missed some time this season, 31 games, 20 points in the Q. The production, not that outstanding, but a guy that at least to me is still one of the more interesting guys available in this range of the draft. He's big. He's difficult to play against. Very competitive player that makes good reads in the offensive zone, doesn't overcomplicate stuff, hangs around the net front. I'd like to see him go in the next 10 to 20 picks. I hope he does and doesn't fall too far because I have a lot of time for him. He's a very good little player. And in terms of the draft order here, this is not the page I was looking for. EP draft tracker. Is it this? Yeah. And then Alessandro Diorio goes at 94 to the Columbus Blue Jackets from the Sarnia Sting. 12 goals, 31 points this season in the Ontario Hockey League. Here's a guy that has a decent IQ, has always been a bit more like skill-leaning player, but added some real intensity to the defensive side of the game this season. I think I have time for him. I expected him to go a bit earlier than this, honestly. So I don't mind that whatsoever for CBJ. And in terms of the next picks we've got on the board, we've got two more picks to wrap up the third round with Vegas and Utah. Vegas, of course, having just made a pick on Ben Wilmot from Barrie in the OHL. And then in the fourth round, the first couple teams that we'll still be covering here are Vancouver, Florida, Seattle, and Calgary to wrap up the top 100 here on draft day and or day two of the draft, at least. This has been fun. For the Habs, Cooper Cleves is a really interesting pick. Again, I cannot help but think that they're targeting the brothers because Hank Cleves, to me, has the same value as a pick in this range on his own as well. And Cooper Cleves is a defenseman rather than a forward, has a big frame, very active, tries to get involved, was playing third pair minutes this season, so expect that production to absolutely flourish next campaign. And that being said, he's just been jumping up caliber of competition repeatedly here as a bit of a late bloomer. Yeah, he's 20, but a year and a half ago, he was playing with the Vernon Vipers in the BCHL before making the jump to Green Bay in the USHL and now to Dartmouth in the NCAA. I think he's adapted pretty well at each of these jumps. I like this pick for the Habs. It's a bit off the board, a bit unexpected for me, especially with guys like Amrine and Valentini, teammate of Michael Hages, available here, who's a hard to play against undersized forward. That's just a fire hydrant at the net front. That would have made sense for me too. So a little bit surprised, perhaps, at this pick. But we don't have the next pick in just yet. Maybe Vegas makes a deal. No, they pick up Sean Burke. They're going size here from the BCHL. Sean Burke is the pick. Huge looming defenseman here, going to the Vegas Golden Knights from the Penticton Vs. Only had 4 assists, no goals this season in 50 games played in the BCHL. You can tell he is not an offensive guy, but he's 6'8", 214 pounds. He's a right shot, and he's a very good skater. You blend mobility with that degree of size. We have him ranked 81st on our board, so he fell a little bit. The NHL was lower on a 6'8" defenseman than we were. That is almost shocking. He's likely going back to Penticton next season before progressing to the University of Denver thereafter. Denver, of course, being arguably the best development program in college hockey, especially if David Carl sticks around for a bit longer. He is a very, very talented and gifted coach. And I like this pick a lot. I think Sean Burke has excellent value here. Outside the top 50, and to get him with second to last pick in the second round, or in the third round, great value. Then the Utah Mammoth pick up a faller, and Adam Valentini with the last pick of the third round. Love that. He's hardworking. Yeah, Utah loves their big boys, but more than anything, they like their guys that get dug in, work hard, and that is Adam Valentini to a T. I like that pick a bunch. I saw top 50 value in Valentini, so to get him there, I think is really, really good, and exactly right on point. We're getting comments saying kind of surprised that Valentini hasn't gone yet, and yeah, right immediately then he goes off the board because he was definitely falling there, as the Wicked 50 Cal says here on YouTube, but. Love that pick. The last couple picks have been really, really good value. Sean Burke and Adam Valentini. And now the Vancouver Canucks are on the clock to kick off the 4th round. Again, we got 4 more picks here before I'm going to call it a day here on the live stream. We'll do the top 100, be content with that, and then go about our weekend. And I've got to go out and touch some grass, enjoy the nice weather. It's a beautiful day out here in Montreal. But at 97th overall, the Vancouver Canucks on the board. Are we going to see Sivertson or Amrine going soon? I mean, I wasn't expecting the big power forward or big skillful forwards with some power to their game to be the guys that fell here on draft day. Could be a guy like Eric Frassard going soon, big, mean lefty from the Guelph Storm. He's got some value. If you want to go crazy, you could go Roberto Henriquez from the Green Bay Gamblers, who is a pest of a goalie with elite caliber skating ability and fascinating heritage. He's a Slovak Dominican. He's a re-entry and is a very good reader of play. Had a .921 save percentage this season with the Green Bay Gamblers, but as a just under 6'1" re-entry goaltender, might have to wait a little while before we see him get picked. But to kick off the 4th round, we've got Vancouver going with Yaroslav Brizgalov from the Medicine Hat Tigers. Interesting. A player I watched a decent amount last season or a year ago in the USHL in his actual draft eligible campaign. He's a re-entry here this season, where he had 10 goals and 17 points in 51 games with Des Moines last campaign. And I quite liked him at the time, a player I have time for. And this season went to Medicine Hat, playing with the Ruck Brothers, 55 points in 64 games. Let's see. What report did I write on him like a year ago, or some more? Let's see here. What did I say? Yeah, Brizgalov, like for most of the year, played in Des Moines' bottom six, offering a tangible shooting and scoring threat down the lineup. His shot is pro caliber, heavy, accurate, and requires little time or space. His tendency to shoot makes him rather predictable, and apart from his goal, where he rifled the puck off the catch from the peripheral mid slot, the NTDP defenders neutralized him quite effectively, leveraging his weight to shield the puck he's a big and heavy player with a bit of a lumbering stride, but showed flashes of boards to middle ability, leveraging his weight to shield the puck and win battles along the wall. His inefficiency at this stage, though, is throwing possession away too regularly in order to hammer shots from range with little traffic to help. But with physicality and goal scoring, he could be a bottom six project pick who takes a handful of development years. And seemingly, he has stayed on that track, really absorbing pressure well, excellent along the walls, has some backhand skill to his game as well. Nice pick. He's going off to Merrimack College in the NCAA. Vancouver going for a big boy with some scoring, but really a guy that developed his playmaking ability this campaign in the Western Hockey League. And that means that the Florida Panthers are on the clock, followed shortly by the Seattle Kraken and the Calgary Flames. Look, we'll keep going until 103rd overall. The Habs pick there. I want to see what they do there. So we'll keep going until 103. But we've got a comment here saying, I wish my Isles had more picks. Zav, he had 8 on his board. Preston 15th. Would have been nice to get either of those guys at the tail end of the first. Yeah. Villeneuve, look, was great value on day 2 of the draft. I think the Blackhawks did great. Would have been a nice fit, I think, on Long Island too. But here, 98th overall, Florida goes with Jonas Kemps, a huge 6'6", 195-pound left shot defenseman with the Chicago Steel, a guy that had some at times iffy decision-making over the course of the campaign, but still a player that has some really interesting assets to him. And this was the range of the draft, I think, that he deserved to go in. So let's take a look at his profile. He's switching over to the WHL with the Seattle Thunderbirds, player that definitely played most games this season. 57 appearances, 2 goals, 9 points with the Chicago Steel. He's a guy that's just really big, very smooth on his feet as well. A guy that can certainly learn to use his size and weight a bit more effectively to box guys out, be mean, be a bit of a play killer. But he's also a Michigan State University commit. So in a couple years' time, he'll be off to one of the premier development programs in college hockey. There's a lot of things to kind of swing on here. He's definitely raw. The mistakes he made this season were pretty frustrating at times, but I think this is good value at 98th overall. And Florida, look, they got their big boy. They got a lot of big boys at forward earlier in the second round, and now they're getting a big boy on defense who could learn to be more mean than he already is. And if any organization can teach him that, it certainly will be the Florida Panthers. And the next pick is the Seattle Kraken, and it is confirmed to Viktor Fyodorov. Interesting selection here for the Kraken, a guy that scored 10 points in 18 MHL games this season with Chaika Nizhny Novgorod, but also played significantly in the VHL and the KHL. So in the VHL, he had 2 goals and 8 points in 32 games. And in the KHL, he had 1 goal and 4 points in 13 games. He played massive minutes in the MHL, but was more of like a two-way presence, a player that really separates through his hockey IQ, his intelligence, the details, the vision, his ability to create advantages in areas that other players in his age group just don't. He's not the biggest guy, 5'10", 183 pounds, but he is reliable. Think of like a Fyodor Svechkov light, basically, here with Fyodorov. I like that pick. I think that's a nice way here for the top 100 to kind of begin coming to a close at number 99. And then for the 100th overall pick, to wrap up the top 100, the Calgary Flames make the pick, and it's Egor Barabanov, another re-entry that I watched in the USHL a year ago. This time a guy that absolutely lit up the OHL this season with the Saginaw Spirit. 28 goals, 91 points in 68 games. Last year, he was playing mostly with the Madison Capitals, where he had 38 points in 53 games. He's 20 years old, so he's already a re-entry when I was scouting him last season. But this year, he's a guy that just supports the play so well at this level. a guy that brings a whole bunch of talent off the rush, shifty, look off passes, a guy that's really there to kind of create off give and goes off the rush and elevates his teammates. So no surprise there that he finished the season off strong either with 14 points in his last 10 games. So that is the top 100. The UMass commit caps us off here in the top 100. I'm going to stick around for 3 more picks since the Montreal Canadiens are picking at 103, and I'm curious to see what they end up doing. But yeah, let's go back here to the draft tracker. Actually, let's go to the NHL.com one so I don't have to keep refreshing the page. Yeah, Columbus Blue Jackets, Seattle Kraken, Montreal Canadiens are the next teams off the board. Got a comment here saying Sharks, Ducks, Predators, and Kraken are having great drafts so far, in my opinion. Yeah, totally. I mean, the Sharks. Let's go back to EP and look at these picks per team. The Sharks, for sure, I think were the team of the first round at least. In terms of, I mean, they haven't picked since then. Ivar Stenberg, Keaton Verhoff, and Ryan Lynn is nuts. That's excellent value at those slots 2, 9, and 21. You're basically, yeah, you're getting great value for each of those. The right side of the defense looks fantastic now long term for the Sharks. It's an absolute overhaul for that position, and I think that they did great here. For the Ducks, I thought they've been drafting decently. I don't think it's my favorite draft at all. Nikita Klepov at 15. I like that a lot. I like the second round a bunch. I don't like the Nordmar pick at 28. I think that's a rough one. Yeah, he's got a very good shot. There's a lot of skill there. He's by far the most arrogant player in the draft, on and apparently off the ice as well. So I have issues with that at 28, and I think they trade up for Marcus Nordmark. I forget, but yeah, I have question marks there. Raw skill, you can make the argument, but he doesn't work defensively. He glides in his own zone. No desire to like sacrifice for the team. I don't know. That's not the player I'd be going for in that range. But Jaden Kurtz, Mathis Preston, Ryan Chudzinski, I like that a bunch. So they did well, I think, apart from that Nordmar pick. Everything else is great. Beyond that, also mentioned the Nashville and the Kraken. Let's check out the Predators here first. Yeah, love that too. Great value. They're going upside every single pick here. Wyatt Cullen, big upside swing, great value at number 10. Tommy Blale, big upside, excellent value at 31. Dmitry Borichev should not have fallen to the third round, but did. Fantastic value at 70th overall. Maybe their best pick of these 3 excellent picks. Love that. Preds are drafting great. Great start to the Chris McFarland era here. That's all looking great. And the Kraken as well. I've liked the draft. Chase Reed at 7. Look, you basically win the draft by just having him fall into your lap there. So I'm not going to credit the scouting staff there. That's just fortune. But look, they made the pick. Good for them. Casey Mutrin, I like a bunch. Violent, physically engaged, power forward, got a lot of leadership capabilities. Very good off the ice. Teammates love him. Coaches love him. Excellent at carrying pucks from the boards to the middle. And then Victor Fyodorov, who we just talked about at 99. Very intelligent player with KHL experience, which are rarely available at this range of the draft. But let's go back to the full draft tracker here as we see any recent picks that have been made. No, none. We're still here at 101 on the clock. Washington is picking. Was that a trade? I think Washington traded up here for 101. That's going to be interesting. Comment here. I don't really evaluate goalies, but everywhere I saw Trayvall and Bucherev were the best goalies in the draft, according to many. Can't go wrong with Russian goalies nowadays, anyways. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, for me, for sure, like Borkov, Borja, sorry, and Trayvall were definitely the top 2 netminders on my board. I like them a bunch. Yeah, so Toronto traded the pick to Washington. Let's see. They are targeting Tyus Sparks. That's a great name. Sorry, I stopped my screen share rather than switch my screen share. Let's get this right back up. Tyus Sparks. Great name. I need to educate myself here clearly. Tyus Sparks from the WHL. He is a 6 foot, 181-pound right shot forward, got traded to the Spokane Chiefs this season in that Mathis Preston deal from the Vancouver Giants. Was a point of game threat this campaign. He's a guy with a lot of quickness, very good skater in terms of his overall profile. He absolutely can overwhelm opponents through his intensity, and that motor skating blend is his best offensive weapon. So you're going for mobility here. You're going for a guy with just a real deep pool of energy. So for Washington, average size at 6 foot, 181 pounds, but he's a player that we had ranked at 137 at EP. So if we ranked him and you pick him at this point of the draft, it is very much within the realm of possibility. But next up, we've got the Seattle Kraken and Montreal Canadiens stepping up. I think for the Kraken, look, I need teams to go with Landon Amrine or Jonas Sigurdsson. They're two guys that I want to be drafted before I end the stream because I think they deserve to be. Two big wingers from the WHL. I don't know why they haven't been picked yet. I feel like NHL teams would like their profiles. But here we are. And outside the top 100, they are still available. Beyond that, what type of fallers might we have? Not that many. I mean, I mentioned Lars Steiner, maybe Jakub Floris from Slovakia. If you want a goaltender, maybe Harrison Bettiger is going to be the guy here. But apart from that, it really is just Amrine. Georgios Pantelis is still on the board, I believe, too. That's another faller. He's violent. He's mean. I could see that for a team in this range. As well as, of course, Jonas Sigurdsson, who was 35th on our board at Elite Prospects, a big late riser for us, who could be a big-time playoff performer and is an August birthday in this draft class. So late August even. So I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll see why these players may have fallen. It's not entirely clear as of yet, but let's see how this all keeps unfolding. Seattle's taking their sweet time here at 102. Maybe we have another trade brewing for the 102nd overall pick. Isn't the Isles' 4th round pick going to be their first pick in the 2026 draft? 2026? No, they've already made a selection. They picked up Malte Gustafsson, which was an excellent pick at 13th overall. Let's see what their draft haul is. We've got the New York Islanders. Yeah, they made the Gustafsson selection. Exactly. It was the only pick they've made so far, but excellent value. A player that fell to them, top 10 caliber player, a guy with probably the highest defensive ceiling among defenders in this draft class, just in terms of pure play killing upside. He's tough to play against. Your left side is set for the next 2 decades, basically, now with Schaefer and Gustafsson there. So they got some really nice value still on draft day with just that one selection. And yeah, it's still Seattle here that is on the clock. Picks probably going to move via trade, I would assume, in this range. Yeah, worst offensive version of Forsling. I could see that for Malte Gustafsson. I like that. I think that honestly, there might be some more offense to Gustafsson's game than maybe we saw consistently, at least this campaign. I thought that there were some flashes, at least, of puck moving, handling ability for Malte Gustafsson. He was a great pick there for the Islanders at 13th overall. Tyus Sparks being the most recent pick here, just a missile forechecking, high-speed guy for the Washington Capitals. Thank you all for hanging out here on draft day. Certainly appreciate it. Colleague or co-host Kareem Ramadan is at the draft in Buffalo, which is why I'm here on my own. But really enjoying this draft so far. So Seattle, I assume they have to be trading the pick because they're just this should be a delay of draft penalty against them if they don't. Because they're taking their sweet time on this one. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, New York Rangers. There we go. Good. I'm glad. I would have been annoyed if that had been not a trade. Who's my number one target for the Isles at 109? Landon Amrine, maybe. I'd be going for one of Amrine. If you want a violent right D, I think Pantelis is falling. I think that Jonas Sigurdsson, like those are really the three players for me that should not be available anymore, and they shouldn't have even been available, in my opinion, at like 75th overall, let alone 105th. So if the Islanders can get one of those three guys at 109, I think that you're a pretty happy camper. That being said, we're in the range of the draft where you take your guys, whoever your guy may be. Speaking of, Spencer Bowes is the guy for the New York Rangers here. Interesting selection player that I cannot say I'm super familiar with. So if anyone in the comments has watched him play, please enlighten me on his style. I'm going to see what I can do here, though. Spencer Bowes from the Ottawa 67s, going, wow, ahead of Thomas Vandenberg. The first 67s forward selected is not Thomas Vandenberg. You're going with one of the oldest players in the draft rather than one of the youngest. They're both September birthdays, but Spencer Bowes is 07. Vandenberg is 08. Bowes average size, 6 feet tall, 174 pounds, feet constantly moving, smart off-puck routes, bunch of crossovers. Do I think Montreal are going to pick? Yeah, I think they're going to pick here. I don't think they're going to trade this. I mean, look, the Habs always go off the board. I never predict Habs picks all that well unless it's like Lane Hudson, LJ Mooney, Demidov. Got some like earlier picks in there in terms of what I predict, but largely the Habs go slightly off the board or just go for a player that's convinced them specifically. So not 100% sure what they're going to do here. Look, again, I think that the big three names are Pantelis, but they just went right D the last two picks, so maybe you don't need that right now. But as well as the two big wingers in Landon Amrine from the Calgary Hitmen and Jonas Sigurdsson, also from the WHL, two guys with size and skill and upside and upswing in terms of their trajectories. So I'd like one of those two guys, an Amrine or Sigurdsson for the Habs at 103, but we'll see what they do. I think my pick here would be Jonas Sigurdsson, but we'll see what the Habs end up wanting to do. It's been pretty quiet today in terms of trades and stuff. Haven't heard much of anything happening, so that's slightly unfortunate. I kind of wanted an unorthodox first round where you see a whole bunch of like big name trades, not including picks on it necessarily. But we've got some comments here as well. Yeah, Gustafsson is indeed like 4 inches taller than Forsling. He's big. He's a lot meaner than Forsling, but you're getting that like defensive to kind of impact with both. And Lebowski 55, longtime viewer of the channel. Thank you for always tuning in and then leaving comments for well over a year at this point. Sebastian, I'm a huge Blackhawks fan and uneasy about them drafting Villeneuve. I'm having Boqvist flashbacks. You seem to like him. Why? He's a lot more of a Lane Hudson style of player in terms of just style. I'm not saying he's going to be Hudson in terms of quality, but in terms of style, much more of a Hudson bro than he is an Adam Boqvist. He's very shifty, but very dynamic. This is a creative guy, an offensive outlet. Boqvist, I thought, was always more of a puck mover, a facilitator offensively, not the guy that would spark plays on his own. And this is a profile that the Hawks don't have anyone in the system of. So yeah, maybe you miss on him, but if you miss on a player, miss on a guy that has top pair upside and you're picking him outside the first round. If Villeneuve hits, you're getting really like a PP1 quarterback, a guy that can, it's also a very, very hardworking player. A player that, in my estimation, is one of the more intelligent blue liners in this entire draft class as well. Yeah, you still have some holes in this game. There's definitely some breakdowns in terms of decision making in the breakout. Tries to do a bit too much, can gift away possession, can be a bit frustrating at times. That being said, I think that he is tremendous value. He has top 10 skill in the class. I don't think Boqvist had top 10 skill in the draft. He had top 10 mobility, top 10 puck moving maybe, right? But not skill, not talent. And so for me, this is less of a Boqvist. This is really like just a spark plug. And not only is he like a Lane Hudson, he models his game after Lane Hudson. You swing on upside here, and he's off to Boston University because of Lane and Cole Hudson. Like, he's literally looking at them being like, okay, here's a program that developed them really well. I see similarities in my game. Let's go and pursue that. He's a really happy guy as well. Great locker room presence. I've only heard great things in interviews. You can just see the energy coming out from him. It's really fun. I think he's a great guy. Great selection. I think that was the pick of the second round in my opinion. I think it was the best pick of the second round. So yeah, I know I'm a lot higher on him than you are. Clearly, that you seem a bit uneasy, but it's a risk, but in the second round, you're not getting any sure thing. Like, the closest you're getting is what Florida did with Simas Ignatavicius and Ryder Cali, two big, pretty high certainty kind of checkers. And yeah, I agree. I think the Habs are gonna trade this pick. They've been on the clock for a long time. But yeah, agreed. Xavier's a stud, slam dunk pick for the Hawks, top 10 talent in terms of raw skill for me. I really like this player. I have a lot of time for him, so I think the Hawks did excellent with him at 34th overall or so. That was great value. Love that pick. Let's see what the Habs end up doing with this trade. Who ends up moving up for this selection? I doubt this ends up staying on the Habs for very long. But yeah, the draft is certainly ongoing. Nice to have some interaction here in the comments. On day 2 of the draft. A reminder, I will be putting an end to the live stream here in a moment, right as the viewership is booming the very most it has at any point. But I'm doing the top 100. We're going to get a lot more players in the next picks that I am not familiar with at all, and certainly also am eyeing a nice day spent outdoors today. I have had an entire work week at my screen, and obviously with the draft, you also do things on the screen a lot. So I need to go touch some grass today. And I would, you guys should consider doing the same. You can still follow along with the draft, but just be outdoors. It's worth it if the weather is playing along. So it is the Los Angeles Kings trading up with the Habs to acquire Thomas Vandenberg. Here, the Habs slipped down to 113 on the board. Vandenberg from the 67s in the Ontario Hockey League is a player that brings a bunch of energy. I know multiple people on our scouting staff loved him a lot. A guy that just plays the game the right way. So we have the 67's teammates here going back-to-back in the 4th round. Spencer Bowes to the Rangers and Thomas Vandenberg to the Kings. Two of the most sought-after markets in the National Hockey League. The two 67's boys are heading to big markets. And yeah, just to wrap up with the comments here, completely have a comment agreeing with me and EP on Xavier. All for the year, had him as a top 10 guy. Yeah, for me too. Like he slipped like 12th on my board by year's end, but even then it felt a bit wrong. I think in terms of raw ability, he just is in the upper echelon of this draft. So to get him on day 2 is just really nice. But agreed with Lebowski 55. Look, he needs to massively improve defensively and his own zone to justify time on ice. That being said, look, if he's the guy that you play sheltered minutes or you give more offensive zone starts, like that is the specialist that you want on your team. It could be like almost like Eric Gustafsson-esque, like if the defensive game doesn't quite make it in terms of sheltered minutes at 5-on-5, big power play opportunities, and can score you maybe 50 points at his peak, 60 points if he absolutely booms for a season or two in the middle of his career. But I think there could be maybe not quite Lane Hudson upside, but he's a smoother skater than Lane Hudson was at the same age. I think Villeneuve has so much going for him. So yeah, he needs some time, it's for sure. But Boston University is a great place for him to go to develop, give him 2-3 years there. And I think that you're going to get an NHL player back that could be your second power play guy, because hopefully he doesn't usurp Bowen Byram after you paid heaven and earth to kind of acquire him to be your big offensive left shot defenseman. But Xavier Villeneuve, great value pick. Ryan Rubrick as well was right in that range for the Blackhawks. Love that pick as well. Question here. Thoughts on leagues like the BCHL nowadays with the CHL and NCAA transfer agreement in place? I mean, look, we still have a couple players from the BCHL this year that went high on draft day, like thinking mostly of Sean Burke from the Penticton Bees being a top 3 round pick. I mean, Caleb Malhotra was 3rd overall. He was playing in the BCHL a year ago. I think that you're going to see less and less talent sticking around in the BCHL with the NCAA kind of decision to allow CHL alumni to play college hockey. That being said, you're still going to see talent staying. I just think that you're going to get older talent. You might get more like 19, 20-year-olds that aren't getting college offers making that jump instead. Another question here. Sebastian, what are your thoughts on my Panthers draft class so far with the capital that we had? It's awesome. Panthers, one of the MVPs of the draft, genuinely. Like, you flip 9th overall to get Brady Tkachuk plus obviously other assets too. But no, you guys did awesome. Let me look at the entire draft class here that you guys had. Where's my draft tracker? Did I close my draft tracker? I think I closed my draft tracker for EP. EP draft tracker. Let me bring this to you instead. For the Florida Panthers, we've got great value in the second round, like really, really great value. Simas Ignatavicius, first round talent power forward, played against pro competition this season in the Swiss National League. Great caliber of competition, very heavy, very tough to play against, very direct power forward, net front presence, scored 7 goals, 13 points. For me and a lot of other public scouts as well, had first round talent in this year's draft class, could be a real third line buzzsaw for you. And Ryder Cali is a pretty similar profile, but he's more of a center than a winger. Also another guy that, in my opinion, should have really gotten looks in the first round of draft day, and you're getting him at 48th overall. That was just sick to me. Really, really great value in the second round. Like those two picks, getting first round value with both of them. Both of them going to be clear role players that are violent, physical, mean, wrecking balls that are going to be forechecking demons for you, fit the identity like a glove. And then the fourth round pick here is Jonas Kemps, huge 6'6", mobile left shot defenseman who needs to learn how to play a bit more physically, but his development path is going to be very interesting. He's off to the WHL next season for 1 year before jumping over with Michigan State in college hockey. So he's going off to 2 very good programs, like in the WHL. He's going to be with the Seattle Thunderbirds. They've done some good work with defensemen in recent seasons as well. So I think that that's a really nice value add for a player that needs to still learn how to use his size to create advantages, but lovely draft class. Like the Florida Panthers, this is how you draft as a contending team. Like you get a 9th overall pick because you have an off year. Okay, you flip that to get a top 6 power forward that's a first liner on most teams in this league, and then you use the picks that you still retain that are very, very, very valuable second round selections on getting guys that could just be the ideal third liner, like wrecking balls for you within 2 or 3 years. I think the Ignatavicius might be the most NHL-ready player selected outside the first round this year, while Ryder Cali is only probably 1 year behind in terms of when he'll hit the NHL. So Panthers did awesome. Lebowski writes, Blackhawks had Eric Gustafsson during his best years, and the team was trash. I come from the years of Keith Seabrook, Hjalmarsson, and Oduya. That's the archetypes that I prefer, guys that kick ass. I respect it. I don't think that – look, again – I was saying archetype of player. I'm not saying that I want the Sharks to be where they were at when Gustafsson was in that role, right? And I fully understand you need guys that are punishing. To me, I would be much more critical still of the Bowen Byram acquisition and the cost associated with that than picking up Xavier Villeneuve in the second round. Like, again, that's a player. Look, if you don't like that archetype, you can move on from him in 3 years' time and get the king's ransom if he progresses anywhere near the level that he might with Boston University. I think that's just the guy that gives you the most value, whether you keep him or don't. I think he's the best value option in the early second round. So I respect it. I get that he's not like everyone's cup of tea in terms of style of D-men, but watch the Habs in the playoffs. Like they outgrinded the Lightning and the Sabres in those series. They didn't outplay them really. Like they got outplayed in both those series, but they were grinding. Lane Hudson was the most used defenseman on that team. So like you don't have to be the most violent, the biggest ass kicker to be playing the biggest minutes. Like, yeah, you'd need to pair him with an insulator. Ironically, I think Louis Crevier would have been an ideal pairing mate for Xavier Villeneuve as 2 Quebecois guys with very complementary toolkits, but obviously Crevier is gone now. But yeah, I think that it's a perfectly like, fantastic selection, honestly, for the Hawks. Recent picks here, we've got Matvey Kotkov going to Boston, a Russian right wing. Mikey Burchild, high energy, skillful NTDP guy going to Carolina, very much their style of player, could kind of boom as well in the coming seasons with a really decent degree of talent. Jakub Florish, excellent value for the Nashville Predators, big mobile right D from Slovakia, played some pro hockey this year. Landon Nyes, it apparently is pronounced Nyes, like Matthew Nyes, going to the St. Louis Blues. He's a very mobile left D, playing college hockey with UMass this season, but beyond the mobility, there's not much there, in my opinion. I have some question marks. And Adam Levac going to the Detroit Red Wings from the Peterborough Petes. Bye-bye, Zach Werenski. Wait, did the trade happen? I'm not on Twitter right now. Did the trade happen? No. Is this just like because like he's going to be sold at some point in the coming days? If there's rumors, okay, not yet. Okay. Because like if it goes down, please type the trade here in the chat. I'd love to see it. Yeah, in the modern NHL, you really need two defensemen in the archetype of Schaefer, Hudson, Harley. Not as good, but play style wise, you need two of those guys to move the puck. I agree. Like I think you need guys that can create from the blue line, can activate as fourth forwards, can change the complexion of offensive cycles, while also being valuable in the breakout. I like a lot of that. Yeah, Schaefer's going to be a Norris winner. That I agree with Lebowski. Like of course, that is an elite caliber player. That you can't just have one or two of it in your lineup, obviously. And I like Hudson, Harley, Schaefer. These are all top 15 defensemen in the league. But in terms of the archetype, right, of mobile puck movers that are daring and to take on defenders one-on-one, can activate, become the fourth forward, really change those dynamics even among forward lines in the offensive zone. Yeah, I think that you need at least one of those guys in your decor to be a bit of a needle mover, a difference maker. Yeah. So Lincoln Keene goes to the New York Islanders. I love this pick. Of course, we had someone here asking about like who the Islanders should be targeting with that pick. I love it. Look, here you're buying low on a guy I think has real value. Lincoln Keene, 6'2", 210-pound. Right shot defenseman, excellent skater, really mobile, so smooth on his feet. On top of that, he's solid as a rush defender. Don't ask him to handle the puck too much. He keeps it simple. I think it's a decent first pass. Yeah, exactly. It was you who asked the question. Great selection. Like you need a few more right Ds in your system. Lincoln Keene was the last right D that, at least for me, is an exciting option here on draft day that was available. So I think he fell further than he should. He was playing small minutes with Arizona State University in college hockey this year, but you're getting excellent value here. 109, like really needle moving mobility. Played way better hockey than Landon Nyes did, who went a few picks earlier and isn't really much bigger. And I think that there isn't really a skating gap between the two either. So Lincoln Keene, great addition there for the New York Islanders. And yeah, Lebowski can say Hudson will never be the defender that Schaefer will be. Sure. Like look, Schaefer's a truly special franchise talent. I'm not going to get in the weeds of that debate right here today. That being said, if you watch Hudson in the playoffs, and I did every single second of it, he was arguably Montreal's best defender. Not defenseman, not like creator from the blue line, like actual like defender. He was fantastic in the playoffs. The reason he was being played so much was because he was so effective defensively, killing plays, first on pucks, using his body so effectively to separate rushers from the puck as well. Lane Hudson's a special talent, man. Like, look, I've been high on him forever. I had him ranked 11th overall in his draft year. No one had him top 15. Literally no one that I know of, public or private that I know of, had him top 15. I love the player. To me, he's also a franchise caliber guy for the Habs. That being said, very different style of player than a Matthew Schaefer. He's more aggressive offensively, definitely a smaller shot from the blue line. Obviously, you're giving things up in terms of defensive range, how much ground they can cover in terms of the blend of mobility and length of stick. Like Schaefer is just such a rangy defenseman. He can just absolutely like suck things up like an octopus in terms of chances. That being said, I think that Lane Hudson is a top 7, top 8 defenseman in the league right now already at this age as a sophomore in the National Hockey League. For me, he is special. That being said, look, if you have one of a Hudson or a Schaefer on your team, even a guy like Harley, yeah, Schaefer's an albatross with the skating. I agree. Like he's not human in so many ways. So I don't disagree. I think Schaefer's going to be the best defenseman in the National Hockey League for at least a 5 to 8 year span of his career. So I don't disagree that he is the most special young defenseman in the league. That being said, there's quite a few very, very special defensemen in the National Hockey League. Yeah, we're here at pick 111. Parker Von Richter was the pick for the Pittsburgh Penguins, OHL defenseman from the Barrie Colts. Also had Elliot Lennon, goalkeeper or goaltender. I'm in World Cup mode, sorry. Going to the Ottawa Senators from Deerfield High in Massachusetts. Canadian netminder playing U.S. prep hockey. We've got 2 more picks here, and I'll call it a day on the live stream. Thank you for tuning in and for being so active in the comments here today. We've got Columbus next up at 112, and then the Habs, who moved down from the Los Angeles Kings, who moved up for Thomas Vandenberg at 103, are going to be the last 2 picks I'll be doing here. Last one for you. What do you think of Bilecki? Awesome pick. I really like the player. I think he's undervalued. I think he fell on draft day. To me, very clear top 50 talent, and the Leafs got him at, 60th, 62nd overall? Something dumb like that late in the second round. I think it was 60th that he went. That was great value there. This is a guy that has good skating, strong defender. There's some activation upside here, can do a bit of everything. I think if you were in a different OHL organization, you would have gone much, much, much higher on draft day, just because he was buried there with Kitchener, an elite team, obviously, and he was a third pair guy all year. If he played bigger minutes, I really think he would have gone earlier on draft day. So I think the Leafs did excellent there. Overall, the Leafs draft, I think, has been very, very, very strong. Obviously, McKenna at 1 made the right call, but like beyond that, they're getting good value with each following pick that they have had. And considering they didn't pick in the second round until that slot at 60th, I think they did great. And then in the third round as well, Ethan McKenzie was fantastic value there for the Leafs. Love that pick. Mans Goodmanson also, I think, is fantastic value for the Leafs. Lots of just really clever swings on defensemen, I think, here in the mid rounds or second and third round for the Leafs. Really, really, really a fan of their draft so far. Big fan. Yeah. Any final questions you want to get in here before the live stream comes to an end here, probably in the next 3 to 4 minutes, as the Columbus Blue Jackets and Habs will make the picks 112 and 113. Didn't the Habs pick 113 last year and pick LJ Mooney? I feel like LJ Mooney was 113th overall last year. I've got a suspicion. Yep, 113th overall last season for the Montreal Canadiens. Who is the LJ Mooney this year? Who did the Habs go? I mean, look, I'd be going a big guy still. Landon Amrine from the Hitmen, as well as Siverson. 2 guys I think are falling. Probably shouldn't be available, but are. If they want to go with another right D, they already have 2 of those with Cooper Cleaves and Timofey Runso. They could go for Georgios Pantelis, who's falling here on draft day for the Habs. For Columbus, I mean, hey, we'll see. What is their haul looking like here so far? Let me switch over to here that we can see what Columbus has done. They got, Oscar Hemming at 14th overall and Alessandro Diorio at 94th. I think Pantelis makes sense, honestly, here. For the Blue Jackets, they could use a violent defenseman, which Pantelis is. That being said, they're waiting with the selection. They're taking their sweet time. Is there another trade brewing here in the 4th round? We will see as we kind of wait for these 2 last picks to start running through. Just want to extend a thank you to everyone who hung out here today. I did a live stream yesterday for the first round, lasted about an hour, did the top 10, and hit a max viewership of 6 people. It was relatively quiet, so very happy here today to have 60 people ongoing for good stretches of the live stream, and very, very happy that everyone started being quite engaged as well in terms of the comments and the replies. So appreciate the interaction. It's much more fun doing so with comments and people giving their thoughts and their opinions and questions as well, than just being stuck in my own echo chamber and monologuing here for 2.5 hours. And for maybe the 6 people, I think it was, that hung around, there was early in the live stream here today, there was a 10-minute span where the live stream was running. It didn't die somehow. I don't know how it didn't die, but my router failed, and then I had to reboot my computer to reconnect it. So the live stream just kept going, and I wasn't here. Nothing was happening for a solid 10 minutes, and 6 people stuck around for it. So big thank you to those as well for staying patient. And then here at 112, we've got Caden Lemire being the pick. Big right wing from the WHL. Not the right wing I was expecting. Neither Sivertson nor Amrine. 6'4", 194 pounds, to the Minnesota Wild, who trade up with the Columbus Blue Jackets to make their pick here. Columbus moves outside the first round. No, 121 they moved down to. Now is the Montreal Canadiens. They're the pick that they moved down for. We'll see what their pick is here. Got one more question to wrap things off. How would you rate the Flyers draft and their offseason so far as a whole? Yeah, let's bring up the Flyers draft class. Take a look. I mean, the Flyers are always an interesting team on draft day. I'm never the biggest fan of their first round targets, typically. But this year, I thought it was quite interesting. So in the first round, Sokolowski was a great pick. I love this for the Flyers. I really genuinely love that pick for Philadelphia. He's a Broad Street bully through and through. He's the meanest player in the entire draft. He's the tallest player in the entire draft. And he's the heaviest player in the entire draft. 6'8", 240 pounds. He's a massive customer. And he moves really, really well. Like, our player comp all year long has been Nikita Zadorov. And yeah, I think that that was an excellent selection. Brek Liskey was a really nice value add, right defenseman, smaller, not the most violent guy, but a do-it-all guy. Like, he's a Swiss Army knife, can play anywhere. Dylan DeMello style of player, whereas Sokolowski's more of your Nikita Zaitsev, or no, sorry, not Zaitsev, Zadorov, other Z name. And in terms of the goalie, Martin Solavek, butchering his pronunciation, great season in terms of numbers this year, 928 save percentage in 42 games playing U20 hockey in Czechia. I haven't watched him, can't really tell you much on him. Overall, I think the Flyers, I think they're having a decent offseason so far. I don't think it's like the flashiest of anything. I think Joseph Wall's a nice little acquisition. I like that. I think Simon Benoit's going to play minutes for you this season. I don't mind it whatsoever. In terms of the Habs, I have one more question here. Isn't Karmanov tallest? Yeah. If Karmanov gets picked, then yes, he's the tallest. In terms of players that have been picked so far, it's Sokolowski. Until I see it with Karmanov, I'm not fully believing it yet, because you're picking him for the size, and that's about it. But he's hilarious. I mean, he's 7 foot. Was there no H? I thought there was a Karmanov. I thought for sure there was an H. Nope, no H. Yeah. He's fascinating. Yeah, North Bay Battalion, 20 games, 2 assists. He's off to Penn State in like a year plus. He's a big guy. He's a 7'1", 280-pound guy. Cool. He's insane. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this player necessarily. I think he's nuts and the most raw player in the entire draft. The Habs are waiting. They're waiting with their pick here as well. It's a bit slow. And speaking of the Habs, I got a question here as well. Yeah, all upside. I mean, the upside's really just being mean and physical and getting his skating up another tad, right? With Karmanov. Like, you're not talking upside in terms of anything that's impressive as a puck mover or anything. Like, he's just so it's the range, it's the reach. Like, he can extend his arm like 4 meters with the stick extended. Like, it's insane. He's huge. Like, absolutely massive customer. Any thoughts on Patrick's plumage? I'm not familiar. I've not watched enough right now. Yeah, Karmanov is probably going to get drafted because of that size. Yeah, super raw, like super raw. He's like the most raw guy in the draft. Absolutely. Question here as well on the Habs are my. Oh my, I missed this function entirely. My bad, guys. I should have been doing this for ages already. Habs are my second favorite team, believe it or not. But how are they doing so far in terms of the draft class? Let's take a look-see at the overall class here so far for the Habs. We've got Montreal. Look, moving up for Gleb Pugachev is very interesting. He's like the most violent forward in the draft class this year. Is Gleb? He's an absolute wrecking ball. 6'3", listed at 6'2.5" some places, but big boy, 223 pounds, one of the heaviest guys in the draft. A player that just looks to finish his checks all the time. A decent enough shot that could be like a B grade scoring, a goal scoring tool. Think like Josh Anderson in the playoffs in the first round, right? Like that's the vibe of play that the Habs are eyeing here. They're talking themselves of mentioning Tom Wilson as a player comp internally. I don't see that level of skill, especially with the handling and playmaking. I think that Gleb is below average, but that being said, he's so direct. This is a role player. I like it. The Habs need more of that in their organization, like top to bottom. So they went out and got their guy, traded up 2 picks to get him. Timofey Runso is a re-entry and one of the more dynamic offensive defensemen in the draft class. Big guy too, 6'3". He's a player that I like a lot. He's going off to Miami University, Ohio, to play with Ilya Morozov next season. But yeah, he was a rookie in the WHL this season as a re-entry. 44 points in 68 games, really just replaced the Keaton Verhoff offensive impact that they were lacking. Very strong puck mover. I like him a lot. He moves very well. Brings you a bit of a physical edge as well. Nothing outstanding physically, but there's definitely something to like there with Timofey Runso. And then the last guy here, Cooper Cleaves. Partially, again, here, I mentioned this when the pick was made. This might partially be to make a play for his brother, Hank Cleaves, who is like the top remaining college free agent currently. Was, for me, the second best college free agent, bar none, behind TJ Hughes this season, who is a very big, very skillful playmaking center, 6'4". But the guy that the Habs drafted is his younger brother, Cooper, who is 20 years old and a double re-entry, 6'3", 205 pounds, as a right shot defenseman. He's a guy that loves to activate. He was more of a bottom pair guy this season. They're with Dartmouth College, so expect the production to take a bit of a rise next campaign as he gets more opportunity as well. He's a guy that I think is a decent target, could be a third pair piece. But again, you're going puck moving upside, you're going size as a right shot. It's a valuable piece overall. Quite like it. I thought that was a bit off the board. I thought that if Cleaves would go today, it would be like 5th, 6th, 7th round. So to see him go at, 93rd overall was pretty bold. But it seems like the Habs moved their pick again. Yeah. Oh, they moved it to Vegas and they got Stivertson. That's annoying. Okay, Habs, fine. They moved down to 117. No, that was from Philadelphia. Yeah, Vegas, yeah. They moved down to 117. Patrick Plumans, wow, right on cue. We just got asked about this player, and now he goes to Toronto at 114. Wow, yeah, big goaltender, Latvian. Yeah, I'm not shocked. Latvian goaltender is not my forte in terms of scouting stuff. But yeah, so we got Patrick Plumage going to the Toronto Maple Leafs at 114. But love the pick for the Vegas Golden Knights. Jonas Sigurdsson going at 113. That's excellent value. That's a big, skillful guy who's going to be excellent in the playoffs. Great pick. I'm annoyed that the Habs trade out of that slot and could have picked him up. That's arguably first round value for us at EP. He was 35th overall on our board at Elite Prospects this season. So to get him at 113 is fantastic for Vegas. And Habs, you got to make a pick here soon. You traded down twice already from the slot. Let's actually see a pick at 117. We've got Carl Axelsson here next up, going to Utah. Another goaltender, another Swede, playing in the USHL with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. Had a decent season. I thought he was fine, not special really in anything I watched this season. Got one other question here. Is Gleb Pugachev like a Yegor Surin? Less skill, more violence. Yegor Surin's already a pretty violent player. Pugachev brings more speed, I would say, too. Like, he's a very good skater, like very, very speedy guy. Picks up speed very quickly, does Gleb Pugachev, and absolutely, like, destroys people through hits. It's like, look at any hit reel of Gleb Pugachev on YouTube. It's so entertaining. So I think Yegor Surin has a definitely a much better handler. That's probably the biggest gap between the two players, with the handling skill in favor of Surin. I like Surin more as a prospect, probably, but Pugachev is more clearly the role player of high intensity forechecking demon, like absolute demon. He's gonna kill guys on the forecheck. Even heard a story that after a game, he had some friction with an opponent on the ice in a U20 game and in the MHL, and then afterwards wanted to meet up with the guy in the parking lot, and actually went out to the parking lot to try to finish off the conversation that began on the ice. So Pugachev is a bit unhinged mentally, which I think you kind of need to be for that role. So I think it's the role of play that the Habs certainly could use and was good value. Habs on the board now at 117. Yeah, he's nuts, Pugachev. And they make a pick for a guy I've never heard of. Wow, Braden Klimpke is the guy, defenseman from Saskatoon in the WHL, going to the Montreal Canadiens. Braden Klimpke is, to me, almost like a made-up WHL name. Like, there's a million Bradens, obviously, coming out there, but Klimpke? Okay, Saskatoon Blades. Let's see who this guy is. Braden Klimpke is the pick for the Habs. Finally make a pick in the 4th round after trading down twice. 46 points in 68 games. Let me guess, re-entry. No, old for the draft class. Okay. Haven't watched enough WHL hockey apparently this season. Ranked 119th by us at EP by our WHL scouts. Stabilizing defenseman, adapts his game to every situation. If his team needs an offensive leader, he can do that. If they need clean breakouts, he can do that. Can kind of just do a bit of everything. Cool. Habs go for kind of an all-rounder defenseman here in the 4th round. I, again, would have quite liked a guy like Landon Amrine. I would have liked to see them hang on to the 113 pick and go for Jonas Sigurdsson before the Vegas Golden Knights traded up for him. Yeah, this is interesting. But honestly, we finally... Oh, Justin Graf. Interesting. Going to the Nashville Predators. I can do a quick thing on Justin Graf before we call it a day on the live stream. I watched him once or twice this season. Justin Graf, Cedar Rapids Rough Riders, USHL, a player that, yeah, is a re-entry, but July birthday from 2007. 55 points in 52 games this season, one of the higher scoring guys in the USHL this campaign. Just didn't get ranked by many outlets, as you can see. I think largely because... I don't know if there's much needle moving qualities in his game. Like he's a guy that certainly is able to block off passing lanes. He's got a good motor. He's solid defensively. I don't see much special, I think, in his game. So he's fine. He's perfectly all right. Yeah, I think that might be where we leave it off here for our draft coverage, at least in terms of the live stream portion. We're going to have a full-on first-round recap going up either tonight or tomorrow, which Kareem will be back to do as well. Finishing off, we've got Laver Gashilov, centerman, going to the New Jersey Devils. But that is it here for the live stream. Make sure you subscribe, hang around. We've got a lot of content going through the offseason here for you all. We'll be doing draft rundowns. We'll be doing videos on the steals of the draft, as well as probably some prospect pool rankings a bit later on in the summertime. So lots of content coming our way. But as we kind of put a cherry on top for the end of the 2026 NHL draft cycle, I thank you for listening, not just to the live stream here today, but also just to our shows throughout the year. It's always lovely to interact with you guys in the comments as well. So appreciate your support. Appreciate you guys kind of sticking in there all season long. Had some hills and valleys as well on the podcast. Obviously, had some time off, some like a break in January, February with a month and a half without posting, and then Kareem got joined to the podcast, and we've been absolutely not looking back since then. So it's been an absolute blast covering this draft class for you all, and wish you an exciting end to day 2 of the draft. I hope your team does something fun, whether it be a nice nifty little late pick or a little trade that might be interesting. Hope there's still something exciting for you here in store. But that is it here for the live stream. Thank you for tuning in so much. And yeah, we'll catch you listening and tuning back in for our regular shows in no time. And thanks again.